those materials contain, we do not know
here we go.
yet, but it's being shared to the other side. And therefore, there's going to be questions of how long it will take to extract the data. Will it be turned over to the defense? How long it will take to be turned over to the defense? But it's also possible we can learn more about a potential trial date. We can learn more about a potential trial date. It seems that Sean Combs wants this to happen in the spring of 2025. We may learn some other deadlines in this case. And there may also be an issue, so be on the lookout for this, that we brought up. This defense filed last night something very interesting. They said they are looking for a hearing to determine if the government engaged in misconduct.
Oh boy, here we go.
Did the Department of Homeland Security, the agents that raided Sean Combs' properties, were they the ones who leaked the 2016 surveillance video that appears to show Combs beating his ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura? It's quite the accusation, and we'll talk more about it. But to be clear, what we don't think is going to be brought up today is the issue of bail. Combs' defense attorneys, they have appealed his denial of bail, his pretrial detention, to a higher court, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. We'll see how that shakes up. But I think there's going to be more issues that are pressing today. And what makes today's hearing also interesting is this is now in front of a new judge. The new judge assigned to Combs' case out of the Southern District of New York is the Honorable Arun Subramanian. So it'll be interesting to see how he now handles these matters in a very, very high-profile case. Now, unfortunately, although we have cameras outside the courthouse,
that's an interesting statement there, federal court. Dre Raven.
I could talk day and night about how I think that's a mistake. That's a subject for a different day, but here's the thing we do have. Long crimes Elizabeth Milner, she is in that courthouse right now. She's going to be in that courtroom. She will come out later, report back to us live about her observations from the day's proceedings. But we're also going to be following live updates of what is happening inside that courtroom. We're going to break it down for you. I have terrific guests. And also, we're going to take your questions. So if you have questions about what is happening in the Sean Combs case, if you have questions about what is happening today, submit them on YouTube. We will answer them for you right now.
Okay, here we go.
I have some great guests to talk about this. I have a great selection of guests that are coming out in the next couple hours. I'm joined right now by Brian McMonigal, defense attorney from Philadelphia,
on a Rumble. Appreciate
a very
that.
acclaimed defense attorney, frequent
Philly.
guest on Sidebar, and also Ava Sullivan, former prosecutor, is in studio with me as well, another frequent guest on Sidebar. Great to have you both here. Brian, I'll start with you. What are you anticipating for today's hearing? Because I think there's a lot of issues. This is the beginning part of the case, but a lot of
I wish they let cameras in the courtroom.
What are you going to be looking for?
I think it's going to really boil down to a scheduling discussion. This judge,
let me know if you guys can hear it okay,
is going to want to obviously show that he means business in terms of putting deadlines out and having them meet them. I think that the defense's urgency in this, in terms of bringing this case to trial, is expected. He's in custody. He's going through hell. They want this case tried as soon as they can.
Yeah, of course.
But it's a case with significant discovery issues, terabytes of information, questions whether or not they're even going to be able to access some of this discovery. Imagine the timing of getting it and then the time it's going to take to go through every single piece of it from the defense perspective.
Oh, wow.
The government's had this information for a while. The defense wants it tomorrow, and I think that part and parcel of that, what'll happen today is the judge at least getting input from the parties, as he already has by way of a letter, how quick they want to try this case, what kind of deadlines they want to set, and how soon he can schedule those deadlines so they can be met.
So, Ava, I'm going to read you a portion of what the defense said in this joint letter to the court. And it says, the defense intends to ask the court to require the government to immediately produce certain categories of information, namely copies of Mr. Combs' electronic devices that were seized over 6 months ago and at the time of his arrest.
Wow.
And certain categories of requested Brady material, and to timely review and produce the remaining Rule 16 material in their possession. So what does that mean exactly?
Well, in regards to the Brady material, what that means is evidence that
Derek Swindoll says he is cooked. Yeah, dude, Diddy is not getting out.
The prositors are going to potentially use against Combs. One of the things is he is able to, and also.
And listen, if there are any Diddy apologists, if you disagree with my assertion that I think he is absolutely guilty, call in, man. If look, I mean, I'm not I'm willing to have my mind changed, though it's not going to be easy. Because I think this dude is absolutely guilty. If you don't think so, if you disagree, call me.
It's required that they produce all evidence to Combs that is going to be used against him, so he's able to evaluate it and prepare a proper defense.
And look, Brian, we don't know what this video evidence is, but the defense wants it.
Oh my God.
They want,
Hell yeah,
like
they
you
want
said,
it.
They want to go to trial. I mean, this is what they wrote in the letter. Mr. Combs continues to assert his right to a speedy trial.
The writ of habeas
and intends
corpus.
to request a trial date of April or May 2025.
Damn.
And as consistent with the court's trial schedule. That feels like around the corner when you're talking about terabytes and terabytes of information, and they are saying we're putting the government's feet to the fire. We want all this material as soon as possible. Is that ambitious? April, May 2025?
That is ambitious. Yeah.
And the reason for the ambition is pretty self-evident.
Yep.
He's incarcerated. You know, this is a celebrity, multi-millionaire who is incarcerated, and they want to get this done. I think it's ambitious because the turnaround is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to go through all of this.
Not only that, I think that, and maybe this guy sort of alluded to this. Other than the obvious, I think the reason why Diddy's defense team wants this to be a speedy trial. Obviously, he's in jail. They want it to go as quickly as possible. The other reason is because I think they want to they want to keep the government from drawing this out. You know what I mean? I think they want to. It's almost like they want the government to be caught flat-footed. In other words, they want this to happen so quickly. They don't want to give the government ample time to prepare. That's what I think it is.
Evidence to see, what exculpatory evidence is there. They don't want to look at what the government thinks is important. They want to look at everything so they can find out what's important for the defense here. What's interesting is, though, that the most important pieces of evidence, besides that which is electronic and can be turned over, we're going to have, Jenks material. And, for a defense lawyer, the most important evidence in the case are the FBI 302s and the grand jury testimony of witnesses. Who are the witnesses going to be? What have they said to the government? How many times have they been interviewed by the government? That evidence we won't see until perhaps no sooner than 60 days before the trial date, or maybe within 2 weeks of the trial date, depending upon how lenient or conservative
That's
the judge
cutting it
is.
close, man.
And my understanding is, especially with federal courts, the transparency is a lot more limited than if it was a state prosecution. But I mean, we could read between the lines, and I think even the defense suggested in their filings that victim number one with respect to that sex trafficking charge is Cassandra Ventura. So people have been saying she could be the star witness. We have an update for court. As I said, I'm going to provide everybody updates as this comes in. First of all, Sean Combs has been brought into the courtroom. Apparently, he came in through the side holding cell door. He is wearing jail pants, he is wearing a T-shirt, and he was seen smiling and hugging his lawyers. So as we talk about Sean Combs, the rap mogul, the business mogul, fall from grace, to see him in an outfit like this, to see him in this environment,
he deserves it, fam.
Very different.
He deserves it.
And Ava, we have a question from YouTube as well. So anybody who has questions about the case, questions about what's happening today, please submit them on YouTube. This is from Lori Crabtree. Is there a statute of limitations on some of the video evidence found? Meaning, can you not introduce some of the...
Look, I'm not a lawyer, but when it comes to like sexual assault and rape, I don't think there is a statute of limitations.
Evidence because it's time barred.
Now, we know under the Mann Act that a lot of these allegations that go back in time...
And Mann Act is sex trafficking, right?
Right.
Okay.
There you go.
A lot of these allegations that go back in time, you can still prosecute them. And so under that, a lot of the evidence that may be 10, 15 years old, we are able to still use that evidence in the court.
Brian, one of the things I wanted to ask you about
that didn't really tell us anything.
I think there could be a discussion today about the defense's allegation that the Department of Homeland Security, to be clear, Department of Homeland Security, not the United States prosecutors, not the prosecutors from the Southern District of New York, but the Department of Homeland Security leaked that 2016 video of Sean Combs allegedly beating Cassandra Ventura.
God,
I say
that
allegedly,
looks
but
crazy,
looks pretty,
man. Yeah, it looks pretty conclusive to me.
Anyway. But the point is, if that becomes a topic of conversation today, how do you think that's going to shake out? Because they're saying we want an evidentiary hearing to find out who leaked it. The prosecutors have said
it doesn't
didn't
matter
come from us. What do you think about that?
Who cares?
Well, I think it's a great idea. Anything you can do to try and circumvent what I think is a smoking gun in at least the case as it relates to, the character of this fella. I think it's a good idea for the defense. Try and get a little bit of a fishing expedition, going on in terms of who leaked it. More importantly, at some point in time, they're going to need to get a fair and impartial jury.
I don't think that's going to happen,
This might just be the first in a series of motions they file trying to keep the government from leaking evidence that's going to be important to this case.
That makes sense.
Anybody who saw that particular video walked away from it disgusted.
That's right.
And obviously, people are going to be brought into a courtroom pretty soon. Anything you can do to stop it, you try and stop it.
Yeah, sorry, Brian, your signal went out for one quick second, but no, I hear you. I hear exactly what you're saying, what the motivation might be. Ava, I'm going to read you a portion of the letter. This is from their filing. This is from Sean Combs' defense attorneys. Mm-hmm. As detailed below, the CNN leak was but one of a long and documented history of leaks and false statements made with one purpose: to savage Mr. Combs' reputation prior to trial.
Please.
While the government's misconduct in this case is particularly egregious, it is unfortunately part of a trend in this district.
Oh
the
my
government
God.
has learned that
Listen
it
to
can
this.
strategically leak information with impunity. This court should exercise its authority to prohibit these underhanded tactics, which severely undermine a criminal defendant's right to a fair trial. And they not only say this video was...
Sorry, man. Look, that's not our problem. It doesn't matter if the video was leaked. He committed the crime and the video was leaked. Doesn't matter.
Leaked, but also the number of comments that were allegedly attributed to DHS agents talking about who they're interviewing and what material they're seizing. They have a point?
I think they're doing what a good defense attorney is trying to do. Get the smoking gun evidence out of there any way you can. Now, the prosecutors did a reply letter, and in their reply, they said, look, the video leak didn't come from us, didn't come from the Department of Homeland Security. It wasn't part of the evidence we had for the grand jury. So your argument, although you're more than able to make it, and you have every right to, as a good defense attorney would, there isn't a leg to stand on. And I think that raises an interesting question with the defense strategy here. If they're bringing up, tactics, saying prosecutorial misconduct, they better make sure that it is correct, because if it's not, they could become less credible in front of the judge.
There you go.
And that could shape.
That's why I think the government I think that's why it took them so long. A lot of people ask, well, why is it taking the government so long to bring these charges? They wanted to make sure that Diddy's defense team couldn't wriggle out of this with some sort of, complication or exception to the rule.
The way this trial plays out for the defense, if you lose the trust of a judge.
Well, and by the way, as I said, new judge here would go over this issue. But talking about, because we're getting comments now from our YouTubers, and Brian, I want to go to you about this. This is from Keanu Kane on YouTube. Do you think they will allow bail this time? And is he considered a high risk? First, before I throw this to you, Brian, to be clear, we don't believe that the issue of bail is going to come up in front of Judge Subramanian right now, that this is now going to be decided by a different court, a higher court, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. But having said that, I read their brief, Brian, and I don't know if you had the opportunity to either, but what they basically suggest, and I'm going to summarize it, is we put together a very attractive bail package, $50 million bail, home confinement, take away access to his phone, take away access.
Yeah, that was bullshit. CDL with the $5 super chat. My apologies there. Says witnesses say that Cassie used to laugh while he beat his ex-wife Kim. That $30 million should have been $3K. Wow, that's crazy. Dr. B84 with a $10 super chat says Diddy is getting life without parole, calling it now. I agree. Diddy is done. Dude, he is donezo.
Visitor logs. He will be monitored by a third-party outside security team. We will put together any conditions possible in order to make sure that he is not a danger to society, as prosecutors claim. And they also spend a large portion of their brief saying he knew he was under investigation since January. and had his attorneys reach out to prosecutors. He gave up his passport. He has been doing everything in his power to be cooperative. He came to New York to surrender himself. And this is not only a fair bail package, and he's been doing the right thing, but what they also...
Vaughn said that Reggie Wright said that Cassie didn't even get the 30 mil, not even half. Damn.
also suggest is...
Ken Rose with the $2 Rumble rant on the Rumble side. Appreciate that. Again, shout out to Millie Odas on the Rumble side. Thanks for watching, guys.
The two judges who denied him bail previously, they were relying on unproven allegations from the prosecution. They're saying he was contacting witnesses, but...
And by the way, shout out to Dr. B84. Shout out to Dr. B84. Dr. B84 made me, he by proxy made me aware of this through King Life. So shout out to both of those guys for making this possible.
There's not definitive proof of that. It was actually not as nefarious as they claim. There are people who are reaching out to him. It was regarding the civil lawsuits. So as this now takes its way to a second court, a higher court, what do you think?
Well, I thought the argument they made the first time they made it was an excellent one. I thought they overcame what is a statutory presumption in these type of cases. The problem they've got now, though, they're in a circuit court, and the circuit court is really going to be looking at whether or not there was an abuse of discretion. And there is a lot of discretion vested in the district court judges, the ones that ruled on this case, to make these kind of bail detention decisions that they make every day. And so while I think it's a really legitimate argument, and there's certainly circumstances that could be put in place that could protect everyone in this case and allow him to maintain his liberty, it's always a difficult task to overcome a district judge's finding on the issue of detention.
Yep. In other words, it wasn't so outside the realm of understanding why the judge did this, right? It's not like it made absolutely no sense. You take the government's allegations, you take the facts of this case, you take the weight of the evidence, you could say that the judge was justified, and that's really what you're looking at here. Now, I want to give everybody an update. As I mentioned, we're going to provide you updates throughout this hearing as it progresses, and we plan to stay here pretty much until this hearing's over, and even afterwards. So the hearing has officially started. Combs' new defense attorney, Anthony Rico, wanted to make it clear to the court that Mr. Combs' mother and his children traveled here from Florida and are seated behind me. Now, that's interesting because we talked earlier in the week, and by the way, to let everybody know, what you're seeing is the best any of us can do. There are no cameras allowed in that courtroom. It's not like a standard law and crime trial. I wish it was. I wish there were cameras in there, but federal courts, New York courts, they don't allow cameras in the courtroom. It's really a big disappointment. So we are going to do our best to
I really, really wish they had cameras in the courtroom, but, you know, rules are rules. Dre Raven with the $5 super chat says, honestly, I think that the closer to the trial, the cameras on his cell will malfunction and he will practice knots with his bed sheets. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, dude. I think, honestly, I think Diddy needs to be on suicide watch, whether he gets bail or not. He should not get bail, but if he gets bail, put him on suicide watch.
Relay to you in real time what's happening. And of course, as I mentioned, Elizabeth Milner's in there, and she'll come out later. So that's interesting that his family's there. Obviously, his family's there, but his mom, earlier this week, and we did a sidebar episode on this, released a statement. And she basically told the world, don't judge him, allow him to present his defense. But also she said, he lied. He lied. He slept when he said he had, didn't do anything, and then he apologizes for the Cassandra Ventura video.
Wow.
He lied. I thought it was very interesting his mom released that statement through her lawyer, of course.
Damn.
And I think lying versus
when your mom
committing sex trafficking and RICO-type charges are two very different things. The law says you're innocent until proven guilty, and his mom being there could be a show of her belief that my son is innocent of these indictment charges.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
until
matter.
He's proven.
Yeah.
Of course, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I understand that. And look, she came out with that statement after the charges, after the civil lawsuits. And look, unfortunately, she's, I think, 84 years old. She's probably wants to get this statement in, and it's her son. So I understand.
Of course. That's her kid. She's going to do it.
It's a very serious accusation.
Yes.
A number of people will be very, very serious claims against him.
Right.
Okay, so I have a question for both of you.
Okay.
I will start with you, Brian. This is from Nicholas Winter on YouTube. What are your views on federal court not allowing transparency via press coverage inside the courtroom? With the video of the hearing
this is a good question.
Public when the case is closed?
I couldn't agree more with the view that there ought to be access. The citizens have a right to see. They have a right to know. They want to see justice being made. And they don't have that opportunity in federal courts. We don't even have that opportunity in the state courts of Pennsylvania. And I know what the rules.
Apollo on the Rumble site says, I can see an Epstein episode happening to Diddy in jail. Just saying, a lot of people share that sentiment. Apollo, you are not alone in that line of thinking.
For. I know why those rules exist, but I think we're now at an age, a point in time in our nation's history, where our citizens require it. They want to be able to see it so they can believe it.
Arc Travels probably with a joke. Troll says, protect this man at all cost, so he lives long enough to squeal clean, sweeping Hollywood and the music industry. Okay, I gotcha. So Arc Travels wants to protect Diddy at all costs. In other words, don't let him die. Don't let him commit suicide. Don't kill him. And I agree. I totally agree. Dude, they got to keep Diddy alive. That's the only way we're going to know.
Trust in the system. And I think that would give them at least some confidence that what they hear, what they read is what their eyes are telling them. So why not?
Yeah. And not everybody's able to read an article about what happened, to have that
right.
visual medium, to
right.
have a clip, unedited and put in context, of course, would really help provide that transparency. And no, there's not going to be a copy of the video after the case. There will be transcripts. We can see transcripts. That's probably the best we'll get. Courtroom sketches.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Ava, I'll give you the opportunity to respond to that as well. But if you want, I have another question for you.
Sure,
actually,
go
you
ahead.
answered this. Nicholas Winter asked for your opinion, too. What's your opinion on that?
I don't think either of you are going to like my opinion. I think that it shouldn't be open to the public because the most important thing is the privacy of the victims, as well as to ensure that the charge, no matter how egregious the charges are, you have a right to a fair trial. And I think opening up...
Yeah, but when you open up the courtroom, that's after the jury's been selected, right?
To the public, having cameras in there could really impede on that right.
Brian, I want to give you an update about what's happening in court. Literally what we just talked about, the speedy trial. So the judge said the defense requested a trial in April or May of 2025. The judge says they can give them either month, and the judge offered May 5th. The defense said they will take May 5th, and the government says its case will take 3 weeks. Do you imagine this really happening? In May of 2025?
Wow.
Less than a year after he was arrested and indicted?
It's unbelievable. It would really be...
that is insane. Just put it on the poll, guys. Just put it on the poll. Should cameras be allowed in the NYC court for the Diddy trial?
The absolute unusual situation with the representations made about the amount of discovery in this case. But I get it. And, they have an obligation to not only protect Mr. Combs, but to see to his wishes. And what he wants is his liberty. Now, if there's a determination, I can assure you, by the circuit court that he's going to be released, they may want to punt this case until maybe 2 years from now.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Right.
Oh,
while he's in
wow.
custody, I can assure you they're going to be pushing for that May trial date. And guess what? This judge is basically saying, you want it? I'll give it to you. But don't come crying to me, 4 months from now if it's not working for your schedule. So, interesting.
Yeah, look, I'm of the opinion, and I will back this up any day. I think.
Look, Vaughn. Yeah, look. Let's listen. Let's talk about it. Vaughn says, "Real talk. If I get Bond, I'm going off the grid. I'm done anyway, dude." I would actually like to know. If you were Diddy. Let's just assume that you're Diddy. If you are Diddy and you get Bond, what would you do? What would you do?
You really thought he was going to make bail, be on house arrest for 1 year, 2 years, push it out.
Yeah,
as long
whatever.
as he
Right.
wants.
Right.
Now the fact, and I'll give
But
you,
that's the thing. That's what I thought was going to happen. I remember his first bond hearing. I was like, okay, they're going to give him a bond. He's going to bond out, and he's just going to kick the can down the road. He's going to kick the can down the road and basically live in his house as jail. Now he wants it sped up because he don't want to be in jail anymore. But bro, you do the crime, you got to do the time. So what would you do? So that's another question. What would you do if you were Diddy and they were to give you bond? What would you do?
another update here, Ava. So the defense says its case, it's going to take 1 week to defend. And
okay, all right. Dre Raven says a tough decision, but I voted no. Given the fact that minors are involved in this, those kids need their privacy. That might That's a very good argument, actually.
That seems to
Dre.
me, right? He's going to be locked up. Try to get him tried as soon as possible. Put this behind him. They feel confident. They feel confident in their...
Justin Consciousness says, I would have left the moment the investigation started, like when the house got raided before his arrest. Me too. Dude, if I just don't understand why Diddy is not off the grid. He knew they were investigating him way back in January. I really do truly believe that Diddy thought that nothing was going to come of this. He really thought he was going to get away with this. Bruh-man says, I'm gone, never to be seen again. Bro, real talk. Real talk, dude. CJ in the 562 says, I'd pull a Roman Polanski and go to a non-extradition country. Absolutely. Absolutely. Luke Perry says, everything is in his mom's name. Yep. King Life says they're definitely not letting him get bond if they got his ass and give me a chance to stay at home. Nah, I'm getting out of the country. It's most definitely by boat. Hell yeah. Dude, listen, I'm telling you, he's a flight risk with or without his passport, guys.
Their defense against these charges right now, and we've kind of heard a flavor of it, right? That all of these freak-offs were consensual, but doesn't that signal to you that the defense, at least at this point, feels confident in proving his innocence?
There's no way.
But the defense might not also have all the evidence yet. The prosecutor in their letter said there was several terabytes of information. To break that down, if you had 2 terabytes of video footage, that would amount to 40 days of watching the video footage nonstop just to get through those 2 terabytes. And 1 terabyte, we know, is about 500,000 photos.
The government has just said, the prosecutors, that they can complete production of discovery, meaning turning it over to Sean Combs, by the end of the year. So before January. So if you get it to the defense by January, can they adequately prepare a case by May?
That gives you 4 or 5 months to review the amount of evidence. Like I said, the videos alone could take 2 months just to look at them every hour of every day.
All right, I got a caller on the line. I'm going to continue the video here.
You better have a great legal team behind you.
And that's
all right, so I'll turn on the subtitles. All right, guys, 516-387-1986, 516-387-1986. Area code 561, you are on live with Donovan. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Donovan, it's PLG. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? How you feeling?
Well, actually, I've been under the weather for a couple of days. That's why I wanted to, first apologize for not being active in the Discord.
No, it's all good, man.
I planned on I planned on sending you stuff. It's just that, I've been, dealing with a stomach virus for the past few days. It's
all good, brother.
Driving me crazy, but
it's all good, brother.
But I took something. The pain is, a little bit, subsided, but so I managed to call in. But don't worry. When I get better, I'm going to send you some more stuff.
Okay. All right. Very good. So what's on your mind, PLG?
Yeah, it was it's just basically what you asked the chat about everything, like about what if there were cameras in there, and it should it be documented for everybody for the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm caught in between that because I don't know who sued. I think it was Dre Raven who.
It was Dre. Yep.
Yeah. About the whole kid situation. Listen, if there were just adults involved, then I wouldn't care because most of the adults that were at these parties that Diddy hosted and did the fuck shit. I'm pretty sure they had an idea of what was going on, and I'm not saying that all of them were privy to everything like that, but I'm pretty sure that they have enough common sense to know what was going on and everything like that. So I would have been more lenient with being documented if there were just adults involved, but since there were children involved, I would say something else because I put a stop to everything when children gets involved. And
honestly, PLG, I'm with you. I'm with you on this. I was 100%, and let's just admit it. The reason why we want cameras in the courtroom, this is just morbid curiosity. Right? It's just morbid curiosity. I mean, we want to see the train wreck. We want to see the downfall of this hip hop mogul, the guy who brought us, Biggie Smalls and Justin Bieber, et cetera, et cetera. We want to see this in action, but Dre Raven, absolutely, I can't. That's the only reason I can think of that would convince me to keep cameras out of the courtroom. Now, I don't know if they could do this or not, PLG, but is it possible that maybe during the trial they can allow cameras, they can allow cameras into the courtroom during the trial, but then when they talk about the crimes that he committed against the minors, at that point say, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or ever how long it is, we're not going to allow cameras in the courtroom because there's going to be proprietary information about minors that were involved. Do you think something like that could maybe satisfy the public?
Yeah, that was actually a proposition I was actually going to make, because I was thinking they can do trials in segments. Like, here's the adult rated stuff which we're going to publicly announce and everything like that. And for the kids, we're not going to document that part because parents are involved and people don't want to hear what happens to them. So they can do it in segments. Like, here we're going to publicly do it live for the adults, and for the children, we're just going to keep away from public because it's not it's not friendly. And also, I wanted to say something about if you have the time to say something about Diddy not I don't know, like fleeing as soon as the charges came.
Yeah,
that didn't make sense to me. Like, he has the resources, he has the know-it-all. Well, here's a theory on why he didn't do this.
Okay.
And
because I would like to know. Look. But before you go, I am with you 100%. And Dr. B84 put it in the chat. As soon as I knew that I was under investigation, just given what he knows about what was done, I would have fled the country. I would have fled the country months ago. But go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm going to start off like this. We all know that women in general have an issue of taking accountability for poor decisions, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And I think and here's the thing. I think it's just pronounced in men, just as much as women. But here's the thing. I think it's more dangerous if men don't have a concept of accountability.
Yeah.
I think it's more dangerous than men do, because here's the thing. It starts off like it starts off when we are just little boys. Because when we're little boys, and when we have brothers, I'm thankful that I'm the oldest of four, and I have brothers. We used to fight all the time. But
of course.
Here's the thing. I'm grateful for that because because since I have four brothers, I'm also, and we used to fight all the time, I'm aware of my own strength.
Sure.
When you have brothers, it gives you an understanding of, oh shit, I could do pretty much do damage to a lot of girls, but because my brothers can't handle it, I'm aware of my own strength. It's also being aware of accountability as well. If a man, especially if he grows up young, not being held accountable for his poor decisions, he becomes a dangerous guy. I mean, we saw what happened with that black dude who we all know who was raised by a single mother, who was arrested and going crazy on the beach.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, the guy who punched the boat or something like that. He went absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think it's because when men don't know a concept of accountability, it's similar to men not knowing their own strength. Because if men don't know their own strength, they don't know what kind of damage they can do.
Okay.
So if a man doesn't know a concept of accountability, they think that he can do pretty much whatever they want with no consequences. But I think it's more dangerous in men because women, they really can't fight. I'm not really afraid of a woman trying to get over on me or in a fight or anything like that. But with men, I think it's especially more dangerous. Because because this is why we're the humbler sex, because we understand the damage we can do.
Yes.
We choose not to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, but women don't have that inherent understanding. Myron talks about this all the time. Women don't have a concept of violence, but men do.
Yes.
But when men don't have a concept of violence, bad things happen.
That's right.
And I think that's what's happening with Diddy, because since he's I don't know what happened early in his life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about him, but I'm guessing that he didn't really suffer that many consequences in his life.
Okay.
Hence why he thinks like he can do whatever he wants, and why he's making the rash decisions that he made. Hence, not fleeing the country as soon as the charges came in, which was stupid, by the way.
Yeah, that was dumb.
I don't understand why he wouldn't do that, but that's my hypothesis. I don't know if you agree, disagree.
No, I agree. That's actually a very, very good analogy. men who, little boys who are not privy to, or who don't really understand what their own strength is, right? Like, knowing your own strength. And area code 336 and 412, I see you guys on the line. I'm going to get to you guys in just a second. But I totally agree. I totally agree with you, PLG. I think, and listen, I think we're just speculating, but his actions now would lead me to believe that he probably wasn't held accountable for bad decisions when he was younger. Now, maybe this bravado came with the money, right? And I don't know. And I'm not a hip hop blogger. I don't follow hip hop, so I'm not privy to what, Puff or P Diddy's upbringing was like. But I think that there's something to what you're saying. I think that, and whether it happened in his childhood or not, I can't really say, but there was a line of demarcation where he thought, where he knew at that point, okay, I have fuck you money. Like, honestly, PLG, think of it like this, and I got to let you go, because I've got callers on the line, but guys, think about this. We are all aware of the concept of fuck you money. P. Diddy has fuck you money. He has fuck you money, and he is not going to get away with this. He's not going to get away with this. It's incredible. All right, let's go to area code 336. Area code 336. You're on the line with Donovan. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Donovan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sure can.
Okay, yeah, this is Christopher. I'm in the chat at CDL.
Hey, CDL, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Good to finally talk to you.
Nothing much. I was gonna say, I also had sent you a cash out earlier. I guess you had the notifications off or whatever.
Yeah, I probably did.
I was gonna say, as far as the Cassie case, like, I'm not gonna change your mind about that, because it's like, once you touch on kids, like, I kind of can't defend that. But
okay.
Like, as far as her, I just feel like she got too much money, because, I mean, remember, she stuck around for like over 10 years.
Yep.
And it's now coming out that, she witnessed a lot of this stuff and kind of played a role in it. So
yeah.
I don't know if she eventually got flipped. So some of this stuff coming down the pipeline wouldn't go bad on her end. But I just feel like she got too much money. At the end of the day, like, I'm not going to say, guys should put their hands on women or nothing. But
sure.
I just felt like she kind of got a lot of money out of it, and at the end of the day, she got a good fucking payday.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, CDL. And what'll be very interesting is if the defense, the cross-examination. This is why I wish there were cameras in the courtroom. Because apparently the government's star witness is going to be Cassie, and the reason why she's the star witness is because she was there and witnessed a lot. She was there and witnessed a lot of this. This would be the equivalent. And see, here's what the government should have done with Puff Daddy back when he had that shooting incident at the club. What they should have done is they should have made J-Lo the star witness at that point, because J-Lo was there. J-Lo was there. She saw what happened. She knew what happened. She hasn't said nothing to nobody. Well, guess what? Cassie Ventura was the dude. She was with him for a decade, man. And so, dude, her being in it, dude, she was a part of these freak offs. And so now, I guess what we sort of have to ask is, will Diddy's defense attorney, will his defense team, they're going to cross-examine Cassie. That's why I wish the cameras were in the court so that we can see the cross-examination of Cassie Ventura. Also, I can guarantee. Also, I think this: if the government makes Cassie Ventura their star witness, my guess is that she probably has some sort of immunity, doesn't she?
Yeah, she got to.
Good Lord, man.
She can pretty much spill the beans and all that. And not to be long-winded, but I was also going to say, I was disappointed because, they were connecting him to the Tupac and Biggie murder. Wow. And then all of a sudden, with this case, they say they're just going to go all the way back to like maybe 2001. They didn't want to touch on the 1996, 1997.
Right,
so,
right.
From the research I've done, it's probably more likely because, you had police officers from the Rampart scandal involved in it.
Yeah.
You also had, FBI agents involved in it. So it gets kind of sticky to where those families or whoever left behind, they can have billion-dollar lawsuits just from that.
My God.
I'm sure they don't want to touch on that.
No, they don't. Yeah, there's a reason why, CDL, they don't want to go back, because for those of you who are not aware, Tupac was killed in 96, Biggie Smalls was killed in 97, and I don't know if you remember this, CDL, but there was a rumor that the reason why Biggie was shot and killed is because because Puff Daddy apparently
because of the payoff.
Yes, Puff Daddy. Yeah. He stiffed the security company, and that was their retaliation. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that, and I don't know if you remember me just putting shit in the chat, but I was in the military and also driving trucks. I've been all over, and I've had a lot of time out there in California with people who were related to people who knew people, and stuff that I was hearing maybe 10 years ago is all coming to light. But the word on the street was basically Reggie White Jr., who was head of security over Death Row.
Yep.
Him and Puffy and this Chief D guy that got locked up out there in Vegas. They were all in on that. And that's why I'm saying if you solve one murder, you got both. Because remember,
that's
Reggie White
right.
Jr., the guy who was security over Death Row, he was banging Suge Knight's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a little breath, man. It gets really deep. But, I'm not going to – I know you got another call, but I'll say before I go.
Sure.
At the end of the day, I don't think Diddy's going to give up anybody because all the people that vote for him, they'll get him knocked off.
Boy, this is going to be fascinating. This story has the chance to be probably the biggest story and scandal in history.
Yeah.
Like world history. Like it has that kind of opportunity. CDL, my man, thank you for your support, your continued support. Thanks for calling in and good points, man. Appreciate you calling, my friend.
Oh man, I appreciate you opening the lines up because you give people a chance to kind of tap in with you. So
Absolutely. I love talking to you guys. Drive safe, my man.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. CDL calling in, and there it is. CDL with the $50 Cash App. Yep, just got the notification for the Cash App. CDL with the $50 Cash App. Guys, you see my Cash App there, $ Donovan Sharpe. It'll come up as Edwin Hopkins. Let's go. Let's take another phone call here. Let's go to area code 412. Area code 412. You're on live with Donovan. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Don. This is Apollo calling, man.
Oh, wait a minute. Apollo, give me 2 seconds. There's an update. Hold up. I'm going to put you on hold, and I want you to listen because there's somebody at the mic. Hold on. Hang on a second, guys. Oh, never mind. I thought there was somebody talking. All right, Apollo. So what's on your mind, Apollo? What are your thoughts on all of this?
I definitely agree with you were saying, Dre Ray was saying, I could see why the court's not being in there. The minor situations,
of course.
Everything.
Yeah.
You don't want kids, exposed or anything like that to other people. And I agree, we want to see it. I mean, out of the curiosity, think about it. You and I are old enough, the OJ case. That was riveting TV.
Man, oh my God!
If the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit.
That's right.
All that stuff.
Oh my God, yes.
It was appointment television back then. So
yeah, man. Yes.
I know why we want to see it. And then the other thing I was going to say is, like you were saying, if the first, what I would have thought Diddy might have did, knowing all the stuff he's been into, first establish citizenship and a residence in another country with no extradition, then the whiff of anything that was coming your way, you're gone.
You dip.
Now you're established in another country.
You dip.
And they can't come get you. I don't know why he didn't do that.
I don't know why he didn't do it either, man. But my guess, Apollo, is that he really thought he was untouchable. Like seriously, like Puffy's net worth is a reported $1 billion. You have $1 billion, like you're untouchable. Like and dude, and here's the thing. Diddy is not the first. He's not the first rich guy to be involved in this kind of stuff. Right. And I remember Devin and I had this conversation the other day when we were watching the Tubi documentary on Diddy's downfall. And his lawyer made up this excuse. This is just another witch hunt trying to take down a black man and this and that and a third. And so Devin says to me, and so I'm having this conversation with her, and she says, why is it that only the black guys get caught? Like, why is it? I said, and I told her this, Apollo, I said, because here's why they get caught. Because niggas are too high profile with it. Think about it. Go all the way back to Michael Jackson. The dude had Neverland. He literally had a theme park designed to bring and allegedly groom children there to do what he did there. R. Kelly. We knew R. Kelly was fucking Aaliyah when she was a minor. They didn't keep it under wraps. Both of them are on MTV talking about, yeah, we're very special friends. Now we got Puff Daddy getting involved in all this stuff. Dude, he's on the Ellen DeGeneres show talking about, yeah, the after parties are, kind of freaky. So when you're this high profile, when you're this flashy, when you're that flamboyant, at some point, one would think that you are going to get caught. And so I said all that to say this. This is why it appears that black men, higher up black men tend to get, and black men in the industry tend to get caught up. It's too high fucking profile. They don't know how to keep their mouths shut. And to be honest with you, R. Kelly might have got away with what he got away with if he hadn't been filming everybody. He filmed everything. I don't know how Diddy thought he was going to get away with this. I really don't. I'll give you the last word, Apollo.
Yeah, I don't know how he thought about that either. And then what I was saying in the chat earlier about, an Epstein episode happened is because he has filmed so much, because he knows who's involved, because he could name names to save his own skin. You just wonder, just like happened to Epstein.
Absolutely.
Security doesn't work in there. Guards mysteriously disappear for a shift, and next thing you know, you hear breaking news: Diddy hung himself.
There you go. Yep. There you go. There you go. Oh my God, Apollo! Thank you very much for calling in, my friend.
All right, no problem, Don.
Absolutely. Good Lord, man. All right, let me go back to the live. I paused it because I wasn't sure if information.
Defense, I would expect the government to say, "Sure, we're all in."
Well, Ava, this is the government's response. The government says, this is a live update, is saying, they say the defense is trying to exclude a damning piece of evidence. This is, I believe, regarding the video, the 2016 video. The press statements, they are not from the prosecution team. The government says that it is significant that that's the case. The government is requesting the judge defer any ruling until they get the papers.
This is it.
And the prosecutors asked for 3 weeks to be able to put together.
Luke Perry in the chat says, breaking news, Kanye claims his in-laws are involved in sex trafficking. That's according to No Jumper. Luke, do me a favor, man. If you have a link to that, send it to me in the Discord.
Their papers, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's an evidentiary hearing that comes out of this. I mean, they're saying he's not going to have his Sixth Amendment right to a fair trial, and that's something judges take very seriously.
Big question for you. This is from Pixie on YouTube. How much time is Sean Combs looking at if he's convicted of all the charges? Oh my God.
Hold the fucking phone. Did Pixie actually ask a question? Did that OnlyFans whore Pixie actually ask a question? Hold up. Hold the fucking phone.
On YouTube. How much time is
Listen.
Big question for you. This is from Pixie on YouTube.
Pixie on YouTube. I wonder if it's that Pixie.
How much time is Sean Combs looking at if he's convicted of all the charges?
Shh. Jesus Christ.
I'll send it to you.
Well, I think it's life in prison if I'm correct.
Yes.
We're looking at what
he's going to be serving consecutive life sentences.
15 years to life in prison. The racketeering charge could be 20 years. Brian, am I wrong about that? I mean, minimum 15.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20, I would think would be a
15 to 20? Oh no, it needs to be. It needs to be more than 15 to 20.
Guideline kind of area that he could expect with these kind of charges. So yeah.
What about life in prison?
This isn't a life case. I can't even fathom that there might even be a possibility that this would be a life case.
Another question from Helena Chavez Adams. Are the sons being looked at? Are the sons being looked into being involved? Now, we know that Justin Combs has been mentioned. In the lawsuit, Christian Combs is facing his own sexual assault lawsuit. They haven't been charged. They are with their father in court. What do you think? Their role that they may play in this criminal case?
Well, we know that the prosecutor sent out, they said in one of their correspondence, 300 subpoenas. 100 have been turned back.
Oh my God, 300
there may be evidence
subpoenas
somewhere in there that the sons are being looked at. But I think right now we're just waiting to see how it all unfolds.
Brian, this is a question that has been a common theme in the sidebars that I've done. This is from Dana Gilson on YouTube. At what point are people able to be legally responsible for not reporting a criminal act that they witness or suspect?
Ooh, good question.
Charged for not reporting potential abuse. This becomes a common question.
And this is what complicates things as far as Cassie Ventura is concerned. This is why my guess is that they have to grant her some sort of immunity, because somebody said it in the chat. She might have been Cassie Ventura was probably allegedly a victim in this, but she might also be she might also have something to do with the bad stuff. She might be the perpetrator. You might be the victim and the accused.
talk about whether or not big-time celebrities who maybe were at the parties and noticed something, or at the freak-offs and noticed something, even if they didn't engage in criminal behavior, if they saw it and didn't report it, could they be legally responsible?
I don't think there are any charges that could emanate in a federal proceeding for simply witnessing a crime and not stopping it or not notifying law enforcement. Now, take an active role in covering it up, take an active role in participating, or on a whole different level of conversation. But I think the answer to that question, at least in every case I've ever been involved in, is no.
Okay, now we have another update from court.
Uh-oh.
The judge has said the order would prohibit any further leaking of information to the media. It would be furnished to DHS agents. So it seems to be entertaining the idea of a gag order.
Okay.
The government responded, we have no problem. Affirm our obligation not to speak to the press. We object to an order about future leaks. If so, should be reciprocal, right? So it goes both ways.
Sure.
How would that work? In terms of, if there is a gag order, would we all just be scouring legal filings to get more information about this case? I imagine his attorneys wouldn't do any press. There would be no more press conferences. What would that look like, a gag order that would really seal information about this?
It really just depends on what is in the gag order and to what extent. If it is that neither side can talk to the press, then yeah, I think we're going to be waiting at the edge of our seats till the next court update and be listening attentively at what happens at each court appearance.
Brian, going back to you, this is something that you reiterated before, but I think it's important to mention once more. Bree Alexis on YouTube asks, at what point will we know if other defendants are part of this indictment?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's no easy answer to that. I would think it would be quick, meaning I think within the next couple of months, if there's going to be a superseding indictment, and that's really what the question is asking about, whether there'll be additional charges and or additional defendants, I think you're going to see it within the next 60 days. I'd be stunned if the prosecution didn't move quickly if they have it. The only problem is going to be, what if they develop evidence in February? Now, what if somebody comes forward in February, they find something in February?
Good point.
It's an ongoing investigation. There's civil litigation here. And sometimes the feds really don't know what some of these civil practitioners
Bobby
have
Brown.
in terms of evidence and what they've developed. What if they get that 2 months from now or 3 months from now? What if there's an objection to it and they can't get to it? That would be the only way I would think you'd see a superseding.
Jose says Cassie could be the Ghislaine Maxwell in this. That might be true.
Indictment after the new year.
And that means that trial ain't happening in April or May, right?
No, well,
no way.
No way.
No way.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Ava. Update. Judge says draft an order. Maybe see what a gag order would look like.
King Life says, if I walk into a room and all I see is 7 dudes plowing a person and I walk out, I shouldn't get charged. I don't know the context of this arrangement. Exactly. Like, they can't start, like, they can't set a precedence. Like, if you were present during the commission of a crime, what if you don't know it's a crime? I mean, dude, like, I've seen, like, dude, Your Honor, I've seen gangbangs on the internet. I mean, you know? No, you shouldn't be charged. I agree with King Life on that.
Open the floor for objections. The government said, we have concerns about Mr. Agnafilo's statement. Again, this is the defense attorney, Mark Agnafilo. We have concerns about Mr. Agnafilo's statement. He baselessly accused the government of engaging in a racist prosecution.
Yes, and this is exactly what he said on the Tubi documentary. This dude is, I'm going to tell you what, man. Diddy's, oh God, I don't know that Johnny Cochran, Jose Baez, it's over for Diddy, man. Like, listening to his defense attorney come up with the counter arguments to all of these charges, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So
you guys should listen.
To
there he is, right there.
Put forward by Combs' defense team.
There he is, right there.
As they should. I mean,
yep, that's
the
him.
defense team is essentially saying that they leaked the 2016 video, and there's absolutely no evidence to show that the government leaked it.
Yeah, the AUSA Johnson. I'll read you a quote. Mr. Agnafilo said, they make the case as the takedown of a successful black man.
Yes.
The statements have been picked up. Agnafilo responds, they should have been in the letter. So, you know, look, that's not a legal argument, though, right?
No, it's not a legal argument.
Can his defense team...
Look, let's just say it was a racist prosecution, and we know it's not, but let's just say it was. Does it matter? Like, you're either guilty or you're not. It doesn't matter what the motivation was. If they have evidence that shows you committing crimes, then your race doesn't matter.
Say this is a racist prosecution?
It's crazy,
Can they make
man.
that argument?
No.
I think that they could make whatever
They can make the argument. Doesn't mean it's going to stick.
argument they need to advance. And as we saw, they could, say, well, look at the video. They leaked it, whatever
Doesn't
they're going
matter.
to bring. I think the key.
You know what the defense is doing here? You guys we watch those loyalty test videos all the time. We watch those loyalty test videos all the time. And anytime the girl gets caught, what's the first thing she says? I can't believe you did. I can't believe you did this on a loyalty test. Or let's just say, for example, you go through a girl's phone and you find out she's been fucking somebody else, and you confront her about it. Then her defense is, wait a minute, what are you going through my phone for anyway? It doesn't matter why I'm going through your phone. I just caught you cheating. The method that I use to catch you cheating does not mean that you aren't cheating. So what it sounds like Diddy's defense team is doing is saying, the video is leaked. Okay, let's say the government did leak the video. He's still on camera beating Cassie Ventura's ass. It doesn't matter how or when or who, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The credibility is not on the releaser of the video. We saw what happened on the video, whether it was illegally obtained or not. We saw you beating her ass on a goddamn video. That's what his defense attorney is essentially doing.
No matter how hard they try. That's one of the problems. The other problem with celebrities, I will tell you, is, and it's just some of them, not all of them, but they have their own camps and they have their own professionals that surround them. And sometimes these folks think they're trial lawyers when they're not. And so,
right.
What Mr. Combs ought to be doing is taking his advice from his dream team, which he's going to be paying a lot of money for, and which are all excellent lawyers, and not some of the people that like to chirp in their ears. That always is a bit of a problem. They're very wealthy folks. They're very brilliant folks, but they're not lawyers, and they ought to trust their lawyers. That would be the one thing that that you'll have to overcome as a lawyer in this case.
Brian, if I may, I have to ask you, do you think his lawyers advised him to put out that apology video on Instagram after the release of the 2016 video of him purportedly beating Cassandra Ventura? Or do you think that was him going rogue?
That's not reportedly beating Cassie Ventura. He was beating her.
And ultimately saying, I'm going to put this out.
Rogue for a while. I'm convinced his lawyers told him to do that. Listen, it was devastating. What are you going to say about it? You can't spin it. So apologize for it and say, I did that. I'm not a great guy, but I didn't do what they've accused me of. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, the problem is he admitted to a crime, and when he knew the investigation.
It was a crime. That was one of those things, and I know
he admitted, like he apologized for beating her ass. He admitted that he did it. Luke Perry, with the $10 super chat, says, it is very odd that Jay-Z and Beyonce have been quiet, but as soon as a big name like Piers Morgan interviews Reggie Wright, they order a cease and desist. I'm trying to, dude, Jay-Z and Beyonce are moving a little shady right now.
I know what you're saying, but it's like, don't believe your lying eyes. So you can't run from that. So embrace it. I made a mistake. I'm human. I apologize for it.
Yo, I got a Don DeMarco Luke Perry on that one. I got a Don DeMarco you on that one, man. It really, we haven't heard anything from Jay-Z or Beyonce since this whole thing started. Nothing, not a peep.
People want to hear that. They don't want to hear some negative, ridiculous spin. I think it was the smart move, and I would have done it.
All right. Well, look, it's definitely a point of conversation, and it helps his defense. And he didn't say. He apologized but didn't reveal too much. If he's going to go forward with the argument that this was a bad domestic spat and not an example of
he fucked himself,
not an example of a freak off, he could use that video and say, I'm apologizing for what happened between me and her, but it doesn't mean I did anything illegal regarding a racketeering.
Yeah, except for the fact that there is terabytes of evidence to point to the contrary.
Prize. Okay.
Absolutely.
Couple things. So this again is a live feed outside the courthouse. There are no cameras allowed in the courtroom. We're doing our best to provide you updates as they come in. We have these live updates coming in.
Black Russian Lom says, "Yo, Donovan, they're really throttling you in the algorithm." I know they are. That's been happening forever. CDL with the $5 super chat says, R. Kelly used to always, R. Kelly used to always hang out inside the McDonald's right across the street from a local high school in Chicago that he went to. When you watch that R. Kelly documentary, R. Kelly was always hanging around underage girls. He's like in the parking lot at the McDonald's. Like, you're a grown-ass man hanging around these 14 and 15-year-old girls. Like, dude, how do you expect not to get caught?
But we are also taking your questions on YouTube. So if you have a question about the Sean Combs case,
stop ninja watching, y'all. Hit the like.
Hearing, submit it on YouTube. We'll read it on the air. I do have a little update for you, Ava. So, the judge said any application under the Speedy Trial Act, the government responded, we move to exclude time under the act. It's already told by the motion. The judge said I exclude time until December 18th. I have no application for bail before me. What does that mean?
Well, under the Speedy Trial Act, he has a right to go to trial within 90 days. What can happen is there's certain situations where you would exclude, so certain time wouldn't count against the government. Because here, it could be a few weeks, it could be a month, and that way it still gives them more time.
Now, the judge concluded this hearing. So that's right. The hearing is concluded. We're going to have Elizabeth Milner coming out right now, and we're going to do some follow-up questions with her. But basically, the judge said, so Mr. Combs will remain detained. Let me ask you this, Brian.
There you go.
As we wait for Elizabeth to come out of the courthouse, and she'll give us kind of an overview of what was happening inside.
Good, very good. Dr. B84 says, bruh, R. Kelly was super guilty. R. Kelly was guilty as fuck.
There, and we might actually see some pressers from maybe Mark Agnifilo. Well, we'll see if we hear any more.
Well, Mark Agnifilo is just
talking about the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, his appeal to fight bail, his appeal to try to get bail.
There's no way they're letting him out.
When will we get a decision in that case? I mean, they just filed their brief in support of their brief saying he should be granted pretrial release. When will the court make a decision?
I think it's going to be real quick. For a high-profile appeal like this, I think they'll move quickly. You'll probably see something within the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Damn, that is fast.
And Ava, the thing about it is, someone like him, and I remember his attorney said this, obviously there's terrible conditions within that detention center, the Metropolitan Detention Center, but also said that he might be a target because of his high-profile status.
Of course.
What do you think about that?
Yes.
Absolutely. We saw that with the R. Kelly.
Hey, you do the crime, you got to do the time. I don't want to hear, dude, look, man, I don't want to hear anybody bitching about the deplorable state of jail. Jail is not supposed to be a pleasant place to be.
Case. One of the things his attorney said when they were trying to get him to get bail was, look, he was a target and he did get beaten up, and the guy who beat him up wanted publicity for his own case. Definitely. P. Diddy, he could very likely be a target in prison.
He will. Black Russian Lom says Diddler is cooked. I'm sorry. You ain't got to apologize. We know he's done.
Brian, something you mentioned, it just struck me.
Honestly, man, dude, they got to be, they might need to move him to solitary. Like, they can't put him in Gen Pop.
As we're talking about, because one of the big things that came out of this hearing is, could we potentially see a trial in the spring of 2025, much sooner than I think a lot of us had anticipated? If the defense starts getting all this material, and I believe they already received on October 7th their first batch of material, if they start to see something and they say, wow, the evidence is a lot worse than we thought, do you think they're going to say, you know what, we need a little bit more time?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they can ask for more time.
Subway Jared, I remember him too. Yep.
Anytime they want. I think what this judge is going to basically
I think he's still locked up too.
Once you've gotten discovery, don't wait around. You've now made the aggressive decision to ask for a trial in May. You don't have to do that. You could have had a designated complex, and we could have set it for 2025, the December of 2025, anytime you want it. So since they asked for it, if they're going to make such a move, they better do it quick.
Yeah, I agree. So one of the questions That was asked of me from Bush Baby on YouTube. Is his dream team in attendance today? Look, he's assembled a whole new legal team.
It better be.
An appellate attorney. I'm not sure exactly who was accompanying him today. We know that Mark Agnafilo was. We'll find out from Elizabeth Milner maybe a little bit more about his team who was with him in court, but we'll see. And also who else was in attendance. We have a question from Marissa McGill. Will he be charged in any other state?
Ooh,
Ava, or do you think
good
his time
question.
will be consecutive in one?
I think we really won't know until we see how things unfold.
Well, it was in New York because a lot of the conduct could have been centered here.
Yeah, but he also has a home in L.A.
If you take the allegations as true, and there was conduct in California too, do you think there was a conversation between New York prosecutors and California prosecutors about
Yeah,
this?
there
Or do
had
you
to have
think
been, right?
Maybe this was just always New York based, and this is where it's...
And by the way, Jared Fogle is still incarcerated. He's still incarcerated. I don't think he gets out. I don't think he gets out till like 2030. So he's got like another 5-6 years left. CDL with another $10 super chat says, I also believe everything Kanye says because he is top tier in the know. Because you have to remember, Kanye didn't become a billionaire partying with Mr. Rogers. Share the link, Luke. Dude, I'm trying to tell you, man. I'm trying to tell you. Kanye, look, man, Kanye has been, he's been, yeah, man.
May have been a conversation, and New York may have decided we're going to go forward with it.
Yeah. All right, question for you, Brian. This is from Famous Joker of YouTube.
Famous
Joker? Do you
Joker?
think it's only Combs, or is there one person in the background, someone with more power? So I actually like this question. I'll tell you why.
I think he's pulling the strings.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. I am convinced. Everybody says, Sean Combs is going to spill the beans. He's going to turn on people more powerful than him.
Right.
People controlling the strings.
But he's the head of the snake. Like, Diddy is the head of the snake. Ain't nobody, as far as I know.
In order to get a better deal, I don't think that's possible because he would have to agree to significant prison time as part of a deal, and I don't think he's going to want to do that whatsoever. You could disagree with me about that, but I guess also the question is, who would he provide information on? Who is bigger than him?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get the question from Famous Joker, but I really think that you're looking at the guy.
Is that our Joker?
Yes. That's the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
I think there is an iceberg, but I'm not so sure that there's anybody above him that the feds are too interested in.
Totally agree.
This was his party, and they want him to pay for it.
That's right. Totally agree.
I would say you don't even need him, right, Ava? You don't even need, if so much of this is documented on videos and text messages and witness accounts, do you even need the testimony of Sean Combs? Now, of course, I would imagine taking a deal is optimal. You can save the pain of having these witnesses testify and talk about what happened to them, the expense, the time of a trial. But I also think you don't even need him as a cooperating witness, right? They want to prosecute him.
Right. And I think in his trial, he's probably not going to want to say a word.
Yeah, right.
So again, let me also tell you, by the way, that brings me to another point. So Elizabeth Milner is coming out. We're going to have her on as soon as she can. We'll talk more about what she observed in the courtroom, what are the main takeaways from today, where we see this trial going, where we see this case going. Ava raised an interesting question, Brian. Do you think that Sean Combs, and his attorney said he wants to do it, you think Sean Combs would take the stand in his own defense?
Well, I got to tell you,
so Luke, the reason why I hadn't seen the link is because an auto mod blocked the message. So what the hell? Oh yeah, the auto. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. I don't see it. Yeah, for whatever reason, the auto mod is. Yeah, man, somebody get me that. Yeah, they absolutely. Yep, they blocked that link.
It's usually not the rule. It's usually not the game plan. But when you're dealing with a case like this, where there has to be some questions answered, sometimes the best person, to answer them, is the defendant himself.
Yep.
He's eloquent. He's smart. He gets it. This might be one of those cases where you do that, particularly if some of the evidence has to be explained. We talked about the video. You got to explain that video. Otherwise, you're just a vicious,
Yeah.
bad guy. There may be text messages he has to explain. There may be video evidence that we haven't seen that has to be explained. Who's going to explain it? You know, they said that it's going to take a week to try it. Well, there's 8 hours in a court day.
Right.
That's a lot of witnesses for 1 week.
Hell yeah.
I want to know who these witnesses are, and if Sean Combs isn't among them,
Kiss it
it
goodbye.
would be the norm, but it might not be what this case takes from the defense perspective.
That's a good point. So if you
I think Diddy has to take the stand. If he doesn't, listen, whether Diddy takes the stand or not, he is going to be convicted. This is just a bad situation.
take their argument is true that this would take 1 week to defend, what kind of witnesses would they call? Who would they call? Would they call?
Better be Diddy.
Other than cross-examining the state's alleged victims and trying to point to the fact that this was consensual behavior, they call male sex workers? I think so.
Yeah, Marcus Vinicius on the YouTube side says, if things over there are the way they are, the same second his 2 feet hits the jail, inmates are going to go full throttle on him. That's for sure. I agree. I totally agree.
I think they would call male sex workers to say that all of this was on the up and up and consensual, other than the fact that you're hiring male prostitutes to participate in these activities. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be where the rubber hits the road in this case. I mean, you're going to have to establish that all these people were paid for and came in willing and knowing and agreed to the conduct they engaged in.
Okay, no jumper. Okay, so it's on No Jumper Instagram. Okay, got it.
They may be the most important witnesses in the case if the defense has them.
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that.
So it'll be interesting to see, but a lot to be determined between now and then. A lot of decisions for the defense to make. I've seen people make that argument, and the defense case takes 1 day.
All right, Ava, I'm going to give you one more question before we have to hit a break. This is from Joe D. Lopart on YouTube. If the celebs that appear, knew, or participated in these crimes are identified, will they be under police persecution, arrest too?
I think it goes back to what was discussed earlier. It depends on what their participation was. Did they cover up evidence? Did they take an active role in things? Or were they just merely bystanders who saw things?
We shall see. But here's what I know. Ava Sullivan, thank you so much for coming on. Brian McMonagle, I know we have to sign you off too. Thank you both so much for coming on, breaking this down for us. Elizabeth Milner is going to come out of that courthouse. We're going to talk to her, find out what's been happening inside. Really appreciate you both coming on and your perspective. So thank you both.
Exciting
and
stuff.
Everyone, stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. We'll take a quick break.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to mute this. I'm going to go back live here. So while we are waiting for them to return, I'm going to pull up the No Jumper Instagram. Actually, there we go. So that's going on right now. Okay, so care. All right, very good. Okay, so let's do this. Let's I'm assuming, Luke, you're talking about this. I'm assuming you're talking about this link. So I'll go ahead and read the caption to you. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what I will do, guys. I'm going to turn the volume back up so we know when something's going to happen here. Just turn that way down. There we go. Okay. All right, very good. So yeah, right here, it says Ye is facing a lawsuit from a man alleging he was hired to follow Bianca Censori around and investigate the Kardashians for sex trafficking. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? It says Ye is being sued by a man claiming to be his former director of intelligence who has alleged the rapper ordered him to orchestrate investigations into both wife Bianca Censori and former in-laws, the hashtag Kardashians. In new court documents, the man who is suing anonymously as John Doe claims that Ye never paid him for work done over several pay periods and caused him emotional distress. The man says that he was tasked with hiring private investigators to, quote, tail Bianca without her knowledge whenever she traveled solo, including during visits with her family in Australia. He also alleges that he was tapped to look into the Kardashians', quote, supposed various criminal links, and says Ye believed his former in-laws participated in sex trafficking. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow. Kanye keeps it real, man. Kanye keeps it real, bruh. Like, you know what I'm saying? Dude, this is absolutely crazy. Let me shrink this down here. Said it was posted about, what, 35 minutes ago? So, yeah, 35 minutes ago. Yeah, that's it. That's it, Luke. That's the one. In other news, here's Angel Reese and her ratchet ass. Look at Angel Reese and her ratchet ass. Angel Reese is going to be... Dude, she is the next hoe, man. She is so the next hoe. All this... Dude, Angel Reese is such a goddamn ratchet. She's such a goddamn ratchet. Fucking hoe. Wow. Man, this is... Like I said, guys, like I said, man, I really do believe that if Diddy... I'll put it to you this way. I'll put it to you this way, y'all. If Diddy makes it to trial, if Diddy, at the conclusion of this trial, if Diddy makes it to and through this trial, if nothing happens to him, which a lot of people suspect that, yeah, Diddy's days might be numbered for obvious reasons. And I'm just, fast forwarding here for time's sake, just make sure that we're all caught up. People coming in and out.
Penalties of a crime.
Here we go. Here we go. Oh, who is this dude? Who is this dude? Hold up. The fuck is this dude? Hold up. Who is this dude? Who is this nigga? Who the fuck is this dude?
Listen, my name is Ari and I'm a paralegal. The United States Constitution mandates that nobody should be subjected to the penalties of a crime without a conviction. Therefore, it is mandatory that Mr. Coons be released pending a conviction. Also, to try to say that he...
This nigga don't know shit. He's a... Bro, you're a goddamn paralegal with three teeth in your head, two of them in your pocket.
May have tampered with witnesses, etc. There's no evidence that he did this.
Are you kidding me?
Subsequent to being charged. To try to say that he presents a flight risk and everything like that, there's no evidence that he ever sought to evade.
This nigga.
This
nigga. Who the fuck is this guy?
It's called prevention. You can't do that. You can't say punish a person for something they might do. They can only punish a person for something they have done.
Bruh.
So, the law mandates that he be released pending his trial.
Who the fuck is this nigga?
Who
the fuck is this?
Fundamental deprivation.
King Colonel says, why is he sleep talking? Yeah, thank you. Get his ass off the goddamn screen, man. Fuck wrong with y'all? Who the fuck was that dude? Yeah, T-Law says he looks like a race baiter. Yeah, he looked like an Al Sharpton type character, didn't he?
All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber. So you're looking at a live view right now outside of the New York Federal Courthouse where Sean Combs just had a status hearing where his attorneys and the prosecutors and the judge, they went over a number of issues regarding gag orders, regarding the government allegedly leaking material. Most importantly, I would say, is the discovery schedule, how much material there is in this case, when it's going to be turned over to the defense. And I will tell you, the idea that his defense team is looking for a May 2025 trial date,
there's no way they're going to do this.
Given how much material there is. So I want to bring in right now, I have two special guests as we wait, by the way, for Elizabeth Milner, our reporter who is inside
Elizabeth Milner, let's go.
Give us the latest. I'm here with Law and Crime's legal counsel, our general counsel, Elizabeth Vulai, here with me on set, and acclaimed litigator Ben Chu, who knows a thing or two about representing high-profile individuals. He represented Johnny Depp in his infamous trial that we covered here on Law and Crime. Great to have you both here. Elizabeth, I'll start with you. First of all, There might be a presser. I have no idea who the guy was that just went on.
Who the
trying
fuck?
to confirm that.
Dude,
but we're
nobody
also, by
knows
the
who
way,
this
taking all
nigga
of your
is.
questions on YouTube. So if you have any questions, make sure to throw them out here, and we'll answer them on YouTube. And there's a bunch that came in. First thing I want to ask you, though.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Looks like I've got Phoenix Light Games on the line again. PLG, is this you or is this somebody else?
No, it's me.
Oh, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? So what's on your mind, man?
I'm not going to be on long. It's just that snippet that you played on Angel Reese.
Oh God, I know, man.
Could not
Fucking hell, dude.
stop
Unbelievable.
laughing. It's so funny. My stomach pain. It was at a 7 before I saw it. Now it's at a 3 because I'm laughing so hard.
Oh man. Oh, well, I'm glad to have helped.
Yeah, I'm glad. And it's so funny. She gets. Bro, I get that you didn't react to the clips I sent about, her reaction to Caitlin Clark getting Rookie of the Year.
No, I absolutely listen, PLG. I absolutely will. I absolutely will cover those. Please believe.
No problem. No problem. Trust me. I'm not like holding you to some sort of standard.
No. But I wanted to comment on it. I was just gonna let you know. So yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just gonna comment on it real quick. Like,
Okay.
I'm so fucking angry at Caitlin Clark, so angry.
Jesus.
But the reason, it's like it's her own fault.
Yep.
It's her own fault. Like,
Yep.
It's so funny. I do this to double check and everything like that. I had total faith in Caitlin Clark. I searched all over the internet. I have no idea what her ass looks like.
Right.
I have
Of course
no
not.
idea. I have no idea. I seen her in a swimsuit, but I have on her IG and shit. But I have no idea what her ass looks like. I have no idea. I looked all over on images on Google search, Chrome, everything, just to make sure. Just to make sure, because whenever I want to talk on Caitlin Clark, I want to make sure that I got all my facts straight. But I literally have no idea what her ass looks like. But I've seen Angel Reese's ass all over the fucking internet.
Hell
And
yeah.
She's so fucking pissed. And she's so fucking pissed that people like LeBron James, Stephen A., Shannon Sharpe, who else? Even Shaq.
Yep.
Have come out in defense of
Yep.
her. All they've
Yep.
done is speak highly of her. All they have is saying that she's a new MVP. She's revolutionizing the WNBA, and she's getting so pissed off at these people. Like, I thought we were on the same team. I thought you guys were supporting me. I'm not gonna
Bitch.
support no bitch that's fucking showing your ass on the internet. Right now, you saw it on No Jumpers IG thing.
Right. Angel Reese. Yeah, Angel Reese's ass is on No Jumpers IG. And if her ass is on No Jumpers IG, her ass is everywhere.
Her ass is everywhere, and I'm like, it's bro, you're.
I've been sexualized.
Dumb. Yeah, like so fucking dumb. I cannot stand it. I mean, I can stand it because it's so hilarious, but I'm like, her anger at Caitlin Clark is not justified whatsoever.
No.
And it's so funny. Caitlin Clark has more than enough reason to hate on Angel Reese, but she doesn't. Because why? She's successful.
Yep.
And she's got a man.
Yep.
She's
Angel Reese ain't got no man.
She's got yes, and she's got the support of most high value men, and more importantly, this burns Angel Reese so high value niggas.
Yes.
Like I said,
Yes.
Women who are respected by men of value are hated by the majority of low value women, but it's even more pronounced in black women. Black
Man,
women
oh man.
hate it when white women are praised by high value niggas that they want.
And that's honestly, that's really what burns her up. That's really what burns her up, because now black men, the support for Caitlin Clark, is really, really pronounced with high value African. Oh, dude, NBA players, like, this is what really, really burns Angel Reese's ass up, man. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, and so, yeah, like, and here's, like, even when it burns her so up, because not only they're praising her, I know she watches their interviews.
Of course she does.
I know she does, because it burns her so that much. But they're emotional about her. The high value niggas are emotional about Caitlin Clark because they want her to succeed.
Of course.
Like, bro, like there they're attacking the people trying to let Caitlin Clark go and allowing all the bullshit that has been happening. Like, they're telling her, what the fuck are you doing? And every black bitch that has a problem, like I've seen so many interviews with every black woman interviewer rolling her eyes or just getting so upset that
unbelievable
black men or even high-value men in general are defending her. Like, why are you giving this woman so much praise? It's because she's revolutionary.
Because she's good. She can play.
She's good. She's great. She's better.
Hey, PLG, I gotta let you go, man, because we got talking at the mic here. Sorry about that. Look, so hold on. Let me.
This is a serious proceeding with serious
civil threshold issue.
So let's see. So looks like we got another Uncle Negro. Let's see who the fuck is this nigga. Sorry about that, PLG.
Move to stay those cases pending the criminal trial. That happens a lot in certain states, such as California. If you have simultaneous civil and criminal cases arising out of the same conduct.
The fuck is this nigga?
It can be
Ben, stand by. I want to get your answer on this, but I think
see, he just did to this guy what I had to do to PLG. So sorry about that.
We are hearing right now from Anthony Rico, who is one of Sean Combs' attorneys. But
okay. So here we go. Okay, so this is one of Puffy's attorneys.
I could be wrong. Let's go back. This is live.
This is a serious proceeding with serious consequences, and all of us are addressing it accordingly.
Anthony, is it a racist proceeding, as Marcus said? It's okay to stay at the NBC for now?
Nobody's okay with staying in jail for now. Okay, thank you very much. That's it for today.
Continue to believe that?
Okay, so we really couldn't get
he didn't really tell us anything
from that. But I mean, Ben, it seemed that last point was nobody's happy being in jail, which again seemed to be the motivation for maybe why they want a quick trial date.
Of course, that is the motivation. I can guarantee you, Puffy's like, yo, I think Puffy told his team, yo, get me the fuck out here as soon as possible. And I'm sure his defense team probably said, okay, Puffy, we understand that you want to get out of there quickly, but it's going to hurt our case because we're not going to have as much time, et cetera, et cetera. Remember, the defense does not have all of the evidence that the prosecution has. But I think even still, Diddy's like, I don't care. I pay you motherfuckers XYZ, amount of dollars. Get me the fuck out of here as soon as possible. I don't care what risk it is.
What you were saying, though, we were talking about how
King Life says that man looks like he's called someone coon before. Yeah, him and the dude behind him.
He would bring how this Texas attorney would bring over 120 lawsuits, and whether or not.
No, there y'all go. The Malcolm X movie extra. Don't do it to me.
Holmes would ultimately be charged with respect to abusing minors.
Yeah, certainly, and that adds another extraordinarily disturbing.
There you go.
Aspect to this. Yep. I mean, before today. A lot of
dude, the fact that dude said 15 to 20 when we know that minors are involved, that would be a gross and tragic miscarriage of justice.
Legal commentators were saying that this is what distinguishes his case with R. Kelly. That as awful as these allegations against Diddy are, and
R. Kelly.
Until today, I don't believe there was any suggestion that any of the alleged victims were minors. Now
they are.
If these allegations, bear fruit.
King Live, you stupid man. Dr. B84 with the $2 super chat. Said he's got Unc on the job. I ain't mad at that. He probably does. I'll call him Uncle Negro.
Then yeah, they absolutely can be the subject of criminal allegations. In fact, I believe that's how it worked in this case, that prior to the indictment of Diddy, there were the civil cases.
Luke Perry says, trust me, if he gets bail, if Diddy gets bail, he is gone. He is gone and we will never see him again.
And of course, the release of the Cassie Ventura video. So civil cases can precede criminal cases, and that is another disturbing front for Diddy and his attorneys. But I would expect that they would move to stay those cases pending the resolution of this criminal case in New York.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Just follow up with that on one thing. First of all, there were allegations in the civil lawsuits regarding minors. I mean, some of the people who have sued him said that they were sexually abused when they were underage.
Oh my God, that's insane.
But the idea of 25 minors, a 9-year-old being abused.
Oh my God.
Haven't heard anything
That better be false. That better not be true. A 9-year-old?
like that until Tony Busby brought it up. But, even Lil Rod Jones, who filed the lawsuit against Sean Combs, insinuated that he...
Black Russian Lom says, Yo Diddler played himself. He should have dipped to wherever Russell Simmons is at as soon as they heard they were watching me. Real talk. Real talk. Oliver Ware says, yeah, he's probably going to chill with Russell Simmons out in Bali. Yeah, probably.
He was tasked with soliciting minors for these parties. Or that
Yep.
was part of
Y'all know. Y'all know what it
one thing
is.
I want to just follow up, Ben, with you. Is there a chance... You said that the petition to pause the civil case...
Dude, if there was a 9-year-old involved, oh my God.
...is pending the criminal trial. If Sean Combs is acquitted, what happens to the civil trial?
He won't
civil
be.
cases? Do people
He's
say,
not going to be acquitted.
They could still file the lawsuit, but if he's
ain't gonna be
acquitted
acquitted
by a jury, and yes, you're dealing with different standards of law, does it make them less likely to continue their lawsuits against him?
I think the cases, I can't see Busby just folding the tent and going home. I mean,
No.
it would depend in part about what happened in the criminal trial. I mean, if there were some
That
kind
makes
of
sense.
vindication, then yes, I think that would be very difficult for the criminal. But, we saw in the Michael Jackson case, of course, where there was an acquittal followed by civil liability, and O.J. Simpson. I mean, I think there's ample precedent for winning the criminal case and yet being held for civil liability. So I wouldn't think that he would be so faint of heart as to give up. And I don't think his clients would want to either.
Yeah, that's a good point. Elizabeth, we have a question from NJ on YouTube. Are the victims being protected from Diddy's people? And clearly it's a fair question in the sense that, assuming they are really victims, they're not of Sean Combs, we know that his danger to the public, his danger to the victims, the witnesses, was a key factor in him being denied bail. So do you think there's some mechanism being put forward where they are being protected?
Hopefully, yes. Just by the sheer nature of him being detained, if all of these allegations turn out to be true, they get protection in that sense, and that he's not free to potentially cause harm to other people. But I think one of the things to also keep in mind is a report that I saw this week about how there's still fear among the community of people speaking out about this, because even though he's detained in prison, he still has
people on the outside,
friends, people who have a lot of power in a similar position to him. So we can't say how much they're protecting the victims.
That's fair. And I have another question for you. This is from Morehouse on YouTube. If a person is arrested and the investigation is still ongoing, but a defendant has the right to a speedy trial, is that right in any way hindered by a lengthy, ongoing investigation like this? And I guess the way to think about it is, and we were talking about it before, he wants to go to trial in May without even seeing all of the evidence.
Right.
We don't know if he's going to be hit with additional charges.
He doesn't care.
What do you make of that?
He doesn't care.
That's why I think it's such a bit of a risk for his attorneys to ask for that.
It is a bit of a risk, but I guarantee you, Puffy is telling him, I don't care what the risk is. We need this trial to get here as soon as possible.
Again, one of the reasons is they don't want him detained as short as possible. They want him detained, obviously. Whether they could possibly get some sort of extension, depending on if there's more evidence than they thought. It might be a little bit difficult as they get closer to that spring trial date, because then you'll have the judge saying, hey, we met last year, you both conferred, you both agreed to this trial date, and also given the public pressure to make sure.
CDL with another $5 super chat says P. Diddy will be on rock the entire time. Those inmates are not going to get any sleep around him. You got that right. That
this case doesn't drag on. Again, prosecutors do want to make an example out of this, so I don't think it's something that they want to keep pushing for years to come.
Right. Ben, question for you. This is from Chelly on YouTube. Will the government use ex-partners, presumably of Sean Combs, to provide a timeline of his actions to jurors? I just did a sidebar the other day.
Boy, that'll be...
I broke down every single lawsuit that he's facing in order, and it made me wonder, how is the prosecution going to structure their case if they have multiple people and maybe multiple ex-partners who want to testify? Do they structure it like that? They want to create a timeline?
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant question, and I'm somewhat simple-minded. I like to put things in chronological order.
Yeah,
it's a very logical way. To set forth a case. I mean, sometimes as you know, you can put together a case thematically.
Marcos Venetius says that's why I told you guys about inmates going full front on him. Absolutely.
which you want to do, but timelines are extremely helpful. So I think the question is great, and if I were the prosecution, I'd want to have a very clear timeline and explain that clearly to the jury, because I do think a lot of jurors will also want things in a chronological order.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, it's easy to tell. Then, of course, you have to deal with witness availability, when they can testify, when evidence is available. Sometimes it gets complicated. All right, I have a tough question.
King Life says Russell and Diddy gonna make a record label called Bolly Boy. Oh, God. Or Bollyhood.
I don't know who to give it to. That's why I think I'll ask both of you. Ben, I'll start with you. This is I don't know the answer to this. This is from George Jansen. Has the defense or agents tested the baby oil for other narcotics? So the infamous that he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil, presumably to facilitate or to be used in these freak-off sessions, these coerced, prolonged sexual performances. You think that baby oil has been tested? And boy, oh boy, I didn't know that was going to be a statement I ever said.
Tell you what.
You think that baby oil is going to be tested, Ben?
If it hasn't been tested before, I'm sure the prosecutors are watching your show and they'll be testing it now.
Oh.
Well, that's their first mistake.
Yeah, right. Well,
that's true. I don't know, Elizabeth. What do you think? If it's a closed, if it's an open bottle, maybe his DNA on it to see if it's his.
I think it's a possibility. They referenced that in the indictment. They also did reference the possibility of people being under the influence of narcotics. So I think anything that they can get their hands on to obtain any sort of physical evidence, I wouldn't put it past them. Why not?
Because some people
were
shocked at how inebriated they were and how intoxicated they were. It's a fair question. It's a good question. All right.
Damn,
I have
dude.
A civil law question.
Can you imagine there being narcotics in the freaking lubrication? Oh my God. Oh, that would be.
Litigation question for you, Ben. This is from Stephanie Pasnin. Why is Tony Busby accepting settlements? So the idea is based on the reporting that he is, and I believe he told us to TMZ, that people have already come to him, high-profile people.
Yo, Dr. B84 with a $5 super chat. And again, he is a doctor. He says that baby oil had GHB, which is the rape drug and erases your memory. Diddy was on that demon time. Dr. B is that true? Was it did the baby oil prove to have DHB on it? Oh my God.
And are paying up to not be sued, to not be a part of this. What do you make of that?
That's very unusual, but creative on his part, and might give him and his clients a war chest to go forward against other defendants. But that's quite unusual at this point. I mean, I can certainly understand the incentive of these potential defendants to get out of the way of what will be a very unpleasant and expensive procedure, but that's creative on his part.
Oh my God, Dr. B confirmed. He says yes, they found it on there. That is gross. Oh my God, yeah, Dr. B84, call in, man. 516-387-1987. 516-387-1987. That'd be crazy.
I mean, I would imagine they do not want any part of them being named in anything with respect to Sean Combs. He's radioactive right now. They don't want to be a part of that. But let me ask you two questions about that. Does that mean that those claims are true? Or does it mean they just don't want the headache of litigation? And B,
that could be true.
Ask you this. Will we ever know who these people are that settled?
Okay. All right.
Those are great.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to bring on Dr. B84. Okay. All right, Dr. B84, you got me?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, okay, so the GHB in the baby oil, go.
So basically, it's a date rape drug, and if you get it in your system, it erases your memory. So the stories you hear where people wake up and they don't remember what happened, that's because of that drug.
And so what would the GHB would have to be consumed. Now, here's the thing, Dr. B84. I guess what I'm asking is it possible that GHB can be absorbed into the body without it being oral? In other words, if they're using this baby oil that also has GHB in it during these acts of sexual intercourse, is the GHB taking effect in that way. In other words, like the GHB is literally being pumped inside of their orifices. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it's possible, or he might put some in the drinks.
Okay.
And then you drink it, and then that's how you get affected.
Oh, my God. Is it possible for GHB to be absorbed in any other orifice other than the mouth?
There used to be stories about people taking it, like, in the behind.
Oof.
Kind of
Oh, my
a
God.
while ago. But, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Anywhere you can absorb it directly into the blood, you're going to absorb it.
Wow. Wow. But before I let you go, man, what are your thoughts on all this, man?
It's wild. I'm going to say it once, I say it again. He's probably going to get life without parole.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, Dr. B84, thanks for your support, man. If there's anything else you want to add, just let me know, and I'll bring you right back on the line, brother.
All right, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Dude, are you serious? Hold the fucking phone. Oh, my
November
God, that is
2023, when Cassie Ventura filed her lawsuit. I would imagine that there's a lot of fear in a lot of people in coming forward with their claims with someone who did hold a lot of power, does have enormous resources. When she filed that lawsuit, I think it gave bravery for other people to come forward. And I think when prosecutors saw that, I think that was really helpful for them to be able to actually build their case. Because I would imagine before she filed her lawsuit, a lot of these things, maybe they were known in the industry or his friends, but the public didn't really have knowledge of.
Hey, Paul with the $2 super chat. Appreciate that. Says, what's up, Don the Surgeon? Glad to see you live. Absolutely, my friend. Glad to see you in here, man.
Right, no, yeah. And he didn't have a great answer for that, or maybe he didn't want to reveal it at that point. Ben, I'm going to give you the final question because I looked at the time I have to sign you both off. But Ben, I want to ask you this. This is from Kyle Lawrence Music. Will his federal case greatly impact his individual civil cases?
Didn't he ask that already?
Will he have to serve his sentences concurrently?
Great question. That will be up to the judge as to whether the sentences are served concurrently. So that's going to be determined after trial. Yes, I think as a practical matter, a conviction in the criminal case will definitely have an impact on the civil cases because, as you pointed out earlier, the criminal standard of beyond a reasonable doubt is so much higher than the civil standard. But of course, if he's
right, and I've talked about this before, the standard of proof in criminal court is guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. That is a very high standard of proof. The standard of proof in civil court is the preponderance of the evidence, which, in other words, means that the court or the jury finds that the accused was more likely than not responsible for whatever happened. This is why OJ was acquitted in criminal court, but he was found civilly liable for the deaths of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman.
Convicted of any of these crimes, civil liability is the least of his concerns because he's going to be deprived of his personal liberty probably for the rest of his life.
That's right. Yeah, I ain't worried about that.
His main focus right now.
Yeah,
I
man.
lied. Elizabeth is going to stay with us. I wasn't kicking you off. I didn't see the time.
Yeah.
You're staying with us. Ben, though.
King Colonel says, Don, do you think this is going to change the music industry? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Answer that question for me in the chat or call in. Is this going to change the music industry? And if so, how?
Oh, unfortunately, Ben is a very busy man. We appreciate the time that he can give us. So, Ben Chu, I have to sign you off, but thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your insight as always.
Thank you so much, and nice to meet you, Elizabeth.
Nice to meet you, too.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will hopefully get Elizabeth Milner on. We'll hear what happened in that courtrum, her observations.
All right, let's
Sean
do it.
Combs. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right. Good shit, man. All right, let me see if I can, I don't know, we might actually be able to fast forward right to
Diddy just blew
Oh, there she is.
room today.
Okay, there she is. Okay, here we go. Yeah, everybody's getting me too. Here we go.
All right, welcome back to
Is that a
Long Crime,
lawnmower?
everybody. Our special coverage of the Sean Diddy Combs status hearing that happened today inside of New York Federal Court. I'm Jesse Weber, and right now we are going to go live to outside of that federal courthouse because our very own Elizabeth Milner is there. She was inside the courtroom for all the action today. Elizabeth, good to see you. So what were the main takeaways? What happened inside that courtroom? And if you can give us a little flavor of what did you observe from the man himself, Sean Combs?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Jesse, it was pretty interesting because I think, we have seen many photos, videos of Sean Combs, a.k.a. Diddy, through the Associated Press, through Instagram. And so to see him kind of in person after being in jail for 3 weeks now was pretty interesting, to say the least. And I say that by being that you would expect him to feel a little defeated, a little gaunt, anything like that. But it wasn't that case. He appeared confident. He stood tall. But most importantly and most notably, when he walked inside the courtroom, the first thing that he looked at was his family. As soon as he saw his family, he just lit up. Another thing to note.
All of that is contrived. I'm sure when he saw his family, I'm sure he lit up. But listen, man, there's a famous saying, never let him see you sweat. So Diddy must be good at that. Just because he's not gaunt, just because he doesn't look defeated, does not mean that he does not feel this way. This man has got to know he is going to be convicted.
Too is he wasn't shackled, but he was wearing a khaki prison-like jumpsuit when he appeared inside court, and his family appeared on their end very just happy to see him. Now, I will say when I was inside the courtroom, I was a little bit towards the back right side of the gallery, and so for seeing Sean Combs, I had to look through a few heads and stuff like that. But again, he appeared just kind of confident walking inside that courtroom, and it might have just been the look that his family was there. So let me kind of paint a picture for you as well.
Yeah, she does look like Naomi Osaka.
His mother arrived a little bit before 1 p.m. Eastern time today. And then whenever his children actually came into the courtroom or the courthouse actually kind of got silent. It was pretty interesting to see that as well, too. So as far as who was sitting by who, you had Janice Combs, who sat by Justin. Then it was followed by Chance, the twins, Jesse and Delilah, Quincy, and then Christian Combs, a.k.a. King. And so again, once they all saw their father, they all smiled at him, waved at him. And even when we were all leaving the courthouse today, Diddy just blew kisses at his mother and his family members. They didn't say much of anything. I wasn't outside when they had first entered the courthouse, so I'm not sure if they said anything to the press. Previously, they had been very quiet whenever they had entered the courtroom, so I assume it'll be kind of like that as well, too. But it was interesting as well that a lot of the arguments kind of based around the data that was recovered and seized from the home.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Well, a lot of us were kind of expecting there to be arguments about the bail or the bond. That really didn't happen, and the judge ordered that the defendant, Sean Combs, stay inside the MDNC, which we know the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. And so as far as what we know now is that we know May 5th is going to be the date, tentatively, that the trial does begin. So we have a lot of stuff that we're expecting.
What? So there's a tentative date for May the 5th? Oh, wow.
But kind of going back to a little bit of the evidence there.
Wow.
I'm looking through this notebook right here, mainly because we're not allowed to have electronic equipment when we're inside that courtroom. So all of this was handwritten notes.
Right.
So just kind of going over just some of the things that were happening inside that courtroom. I'm sure you have already talked about it there as far as just all the data that prosecutors and now have in connection to the case. So 96 electronic devices were seized across 3 different locations. That included Diddy's Miami home, his LA mansion, as well as all the devices that were seized whenever he went to the airport. Because as we all remember, when the search warrants were happening, he was actually boarding.
Area code 954. Area code 954. I see you in the queue. Give me just a few minutes. I'll come right to you.
A flight with his twin daughters, including, and I believe Chance was there as well too. His 18-year-old daughter now.
Chance the Rapper?
When they were. The search warrants were happening and Diddy was caught up at the airport. They did seize different devices that time as well too. And so the data mainly still has to be extracted. Now the government was kind of talking about just some of the devices are a little bit older, so the government in turn is kind of catching up to the technology there. But they say at the airport they seized 9 different devices. 7 of those have been extracted so far. At Miami, 36 different devices were seized. 29 were extracted. And in LA, 51 devices were seized. 24 have been extracted. Excuse me.
Oh my God.
They say the 8
Yo, this is
terabytes of data. That information could come about in the next 2 weeks or so, and they're working on the production.
I'm sorry, I was running my mouth. Hold up.
Extracted, excuse me. They say the 8 terabytes of data that
8 terabytes. 8 terabytes. Y'all? Oh my God. 8 terabytes. This man is going to prison.
Information could come about in the next 2 weeks or so, and they're working on the production, another production of the subpoena returns. And so the defense pretty much didn't object to too much inside the courtroom today. Agnifilo also appeared kind of confident during his arguments. I know a lot of people were kind of expecting for the bail or bond argument to be happening, but that didn't happen, and it appeared that the defense kind of, I'm trying to find the right word here, but they were pretty much complying with all the prosecution's arguments and plan to kind of have everything all good and set to go by May. Now, by the time the end of the year is to happen, I forgot one big turn right here. They did mention that a potential superseding indictment could come. Now, obviously, that hasn't
a superseding indictment
happened yet, but the investigation is still ongoing. And so, we don't know a lot of information as far as what that could.
All right, hang on, guys. I'm going to go to area code 954. Area code 954. You're on live with Donovan. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Donovan, what's going on, my man? My name is Jay from Costello.
All right, Jay, what's on your mind, brother? I can hear you. I hear you loud and clear.
All right, thank you, man. First and foremost, I want to give you your kudos, man, for the things that you do for men and the help that you have provided throughout the years, my man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You're still touching.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
I actually have to say that you have taken the bullets out of many guns out here, man, and I appreciate it from the heart. Now,
wow, thank you.
Thing, pride comes before the fall, Donovan.
Yes.
I have to quote King Solomon. And the reason Diddy never fled is because when it comes to pride, he thought that his money is untouchable.
Right.
He thinks that he's untouchable.
Right.
And I agree with the young man who called about men not knowing the responsibility they have when it comes to strength.
Yes.
I think Diddy have never been put to the test for him to understand how fragile he is when it comes to the system. He thought that he is the system.
Yep.
But he's not the system. And of course, when you have this type of money, it goes to your head.
Yep.
You become like this inner monster, but then you put the persona that you're not this monster till someone literally exposes you for what you really are.
Absolutely.
This is what he's facing. I mean, just imagine, Donovan, he builds a legacy in hip hop that we all, back in the days, I'm from the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
So we see this music grow in the community, and it's not all good either.
Sure.
And some things are good, some things are bad. But you built a legacy. You gave us one of the greatest artists in the world, and this is what this is what he has to face now. That everything he's built, because of his proclivities, his craziness, doesn't know how to handle himself. This is how he's going to see his whole world literally burn to the ground.
Wow.
And I think he's going to serve life in prison for what he has done.
I think he will too. And I don't know if you're a sports fan or if you follow sports, but I almost liken Oh, right. Well, okay. Do you remember the Penn State scandal with Jerry Sandusky back in 2011?
Okay, real quick, I do used to watch sports. I don't watch sports much, but I do remember the scandal.
Okay, this is and there's really no details to remember, only that Joe Paterno was widely regarded as one of the greatest head coaches in college football history. Had a statue of him out at State College. But because of the transgressions of another man, Jerry Sandusky, that happened on his watch, nobody remembers Joe Paterno for all of the good that he did for the university and for the students and college athletes that came through his program. All anyone will talk about, as far as Joe Paterno is concerned, is what Jerry Sandusky did to children on his watch. I think what you just said is 100% spot on. I think that, listen, Puff Daddy in a lot of ways revolutionized the hip hop industry. After this, he will never be known for that again. Just like O.J. Simpson, dude. A lot of the and you remember we're both old enough to remember the O.J. thing. We're both old enough also to remember when O.J. wasn't a pariah, but because of what O.J. allegedly had done, and let's keep it real, we all know he killed those two people. People don't remember O.J. as the Heisman Trophy winning running back who won a Heisman Trophy at USC. They don't remember the fact that he was the first NFL running back ever to rush for over 2,000 yards and only did it in 14 games. Nope. All they remember is the O.J. trial. I'll give you the last word.
That's right. That's right. No, I totally agree 100%. Nobody knows the Jewish man. They only know him as the man with the knife.
That's right.
The man who glove didn't fit.
That's it.
And it's sad because, men build legacies. But it takes a lifetime to build a legacy. Yes. It takes a lifetime to build a name that people can stand on and rely on. And it takes one mess up for a man to burn all his dreams and everything he has built in 1 second. And he said, and I'll finish with this, Donovan, that to the people who might call and might defend Diddy or defend cases like this, at the end of the day, the truth will always come out.
That's right.
And one thing that you said, I think it's a few months back in our program, you said that the truth is very simple. Lies always need some type of freaking explanation.
Yes.
The truth is either yes or no.
Yeah.
Let your yes be yes and the no be no. And I'll leave with this, man. Sometimes, Donovan, people give you a lot of shade, but a bee cannot explain to a fly why honey is better than shit. So I'll leave with that.
Very good. Thanks for the call, man. Very good send-off, man. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Excellent call, man. Got a couple more callers. Got area code 818-856-856. Sit tight. I'm going to get to you in a second. Area code 818. You're on live with Donovan. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Don. This is Colonels. I was
Colonels. Hey, how you doing, man?
Hi.
Yeah, how you doing, brother?
Don, I'm okay. Thank you very much. That guy, the last guy, interesting. What a heavy New York accent or East Coast accent. He brought up some really good points. One thing that I really enjoyed was, most men will probably never touch this level of success ever because he's the 1% with a 1%.
Oh, of course, yes.
But some of us actually do reach a certain level of success, especially when we don't come from money, and it does change us, no matter what.
Right.
It's very difficult. And unless you're extremely responsible and you do have a good head on your shoulders, and more importantly, staying grounded really helps because that's how we turn into drugs.
Right.
We that's how we become degenerates. And then our downfall comes in,
Yeah.
It's a scary thought, and I respect a lot of men like you and Myron and only Myron, but there's a lot of men out there that are true degenerates and have a lot of money and don't realize what they have until
90 seconds.
Yeah. But some people like Diddy, for example, if it was me, I'm just regular guy, semi-successful guy.
Sure.
But if it was somebody like me, and I did something like this, there's no recovering from it. But with Diddy money, or with super YouTuber money, they always fall on the cloud, no matter how hard you go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I totally agree.
60 seconds.
And don't worry about that. It's not going to cut us off because it lets it go for a little longer after that. I totally agree. And let me ask you something here, Colonels, because these are the things that the Tate brothers are accused of, right? There is no evidence that the Tate brothers had anything to do with sex trafficking. However, like I said in that ABC interview I did with Terry Moran, listen, it's not against the law to be a degenerate, okay? Until degeneracy is against the law, then Andrew Tate is innocent. But P. Diddy is abso-fucking-lutely guilty. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind, dude. 8 terabytes of video. I think that's eventually going to put him away.
10 seconds.
And don't worry about that. If you're on the line, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's really sad, and I feel no pity for this guy.
No,
and it's really sad that he felt, because let's be fucking clearly honest about this.
Let's do it.
That dude, besides his talking skills, he has no fucking talent whatsoever.
Yep.
Everybody around him had the talent. So after people realize that he is just not as good as he thinks he is, he needs them more than they need him.
Wow.
And I think that's why he has to go. Because Don, if somebody wants to be on your team, they're going to be on your team. You don't have to bribe them.
Straight up.
You don't have to drug them.
Straight
you don't
up.
have to con them.
Right.
You don't have to do shit. It's just it's just really sad. But in reality, let's if he dies, because something tragic's going to happen, maybe not now, in a few years or whatever. But the interesting thing about life is this guy experienced more lives than the majority of men will ever.
Dude, real talk, man. Real talk. This man has been and thank you so much for the call, Colonels. And by the way, I just got a notification. I'm going to read that off here. Colonels is absolutely correct, man. Diddy has lived a life. Listen, he worked for everything he's gotten. There's no doubt about that. But holy moly. Like, this guy has experienced things that most people can't even dream of. Let's go to area code 336. Area code 336, you're on the live with Donovan. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Dom, this is CDL calling back.
CDL, what's up, brother?
All right, okay, so I heard you ask a question. You said, do I think this will change the music industry?
Yes.
And I personally don't.
Okay.
Because as long as there's somebody wanting to be a star out there, and in their mind, they think the industry is a way for them to, live a rich and famous lifestyle and actually having to do the hard work, there's always going to be somebody willing. It's just like selling your soul. Like, there's always going to be somebody wanting fortune and fame really quick. And
That's
they
right.
don't care how they have to get it. Yeah.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense, man. Oh my God. It's let me ask you this, CDL. What do you think the outcome of this is going to be? Like, do you think he's going to, I think we're all in lockstep. We all believe that he is definitely guilty. Do you think he'll be convicted?
Yeah. I think he'll be convicted because, they dropped the ball with the Epstein guy. So they got to nail him to the cross.
Yep.
Yeah, they got to. And if he slips through the crack or if they make a deal with him, people are going to lose, faith in the government. That's pretty much they're here for. They're here for us to believe in them. And all that shit. So they're not going to drop the ball with this one. They're going to nail his ass.
Okay. All right. Good shit. CDL, thanks for calling in, brother.
Go ahead. I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, so the other day in the Discord, I asked a question, but nobody responded. But my question was, what's the difference between what's going on now and in the adult entertainment industry? Because every day, there's a new video being made with a girl who just turned 18 that day.
Yeah, man.
And they flew her out from buttfuck Mississippi to get screwed on the couch in L.A. Is that not the same thing?
The difference is, and I don't know if you know how pornography works, but I'm very, very good friends with Sterling Cooper, and I actually used to be really good friends with a guy who used to test porn actors and actresses for STDs. Before every scene.
What a lucky guy.
Yeah, well, Jesus, oh my God, I would laminate myself. I would laminate myself before I did any of that shit. But here's the difference. At the beginning of every, and you can actually watch this. There's a Netflix series called Hot Girls for Hire or something like that, and it talks about pornography, etc. There you go. That's the difference. The girl who just turned 18 on October the 10th of 2024, before she gets butt fucked, not only does she have to have her ID next to her, she's got to have like today's paper and all. That's the difference, is that the reason why porn companies aren't busted. And remember, I don't know if you remember the case of Tracy Lords, but Tracy Lords used to be sort of a movie vixen. Before Tracy Lords became a movie vixen, she did pornography as a minor. Nobody knew that she was 16 years old. And yeah, nobody knew she was 16 years old. And as soon as they found out she was 16 years old, they pulled all the videos. They pulled all that stuff. And so now the porn industry is, dude, especially in today's environment, #MeToo. I almost said Theo Epstein. The Epstein thing, R. Kelly. Now porn companies, OnlyFans, whatever the case may be, they are hyper strict and hyper thorough on making sure that everything is done on the up and up. There's a reason why the porn company that managed Mia Khalifa isn't in any trouble. This is why Mia Khalifa will talk to anyone who will listen about how she was used and abused. No, baby girl, you made that decision unilaterally, free and independent of anyone else. They followed the rules. They didn't pay you what you thought you got paid. Everything was legal and above board. So the difference between freak offs and the porn industry is the freak offs were organized through extortion. Dude, there was probably money laundering. Not only that, it's illegal. Now, I guess what you're asking is, how is prostitution any different from porn, right? Because the girl is getting paid to have sex. I don't have an answer for that, and I think that's a very good question. Is there a difference? Are porn stars prostitutes? They're getting paid to have sex, right? If there is
not to incriminate myself, but
sure.
Allegedly, when the world was shut down and these girls couldn't work, dude, they were going for the low.
Dude, I'm trying to tell you.
I might have ran into a couple, but I didn't know I was breaking the law about flying them somewhere to meet me.
Sure. No, it's really weird, because let's say that you were to be prosecuted, nothing would stick, because you guys agreed. Listen, we agreed to. She flew out and we had sex. All they would have to ask you is, okay, what if you hadn't flown her out? Would you have had sex? Well, yeah, we were going to have sex anyway, right? They don't know what anyone's intention is, and that's sort of the slippery slope that we're on. But CDL, I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you very much for your support.
Yeah. Hey, and I thank you for bringing some clarity there.
Yeah.
Now I don't feel so bad, because I'm
Hey, look! Make sure you buy a copy of today's paper. Make sure you have the girl with her ID next to her face, man. That way you're covered.
Right, man, take it easy,
CDL in the house. All of a sudden, CDL is going to start getting newspaper subscriptions. Okay, let's continue with the video.
Would look like, but it appears that we could expect more charges to come later on, potentially by the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
That is what we've been echoing a lot, that we wouldn't be surprised if there's a superseding indictment, and I don't know. I don't think that May date is going to stick if he's hit with additional charges.
No way.
Elizabeth Milner, thank you so much. Great reporting, and happy you got a chance to be in that courtroom and also lay out the scene for us as well. Really appreciate it. Thanks. Good seeing you.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, so now we're going to break it down. I'm joined once again by our general counsel here at Law and Crime, Elizabeth Vulai. But also, I am joined by criminal defense attorney Nima Rahmani. Good to see you. Thanks so much. Happy to have you both here. Nima, I'll start with...
Paul says the reporter looks like she just came from a Diddy party. Yeah, didn't she?
You. I mean, the idea of a May 2025 trial
That's
date,
crazy to me.
And we talked about it before on the show, that Sean Combs, if he thinks he's going to be locked up, obviously wants to go to trial as soon as possible. I get it. He's kind of putting the prosecution's feet to the fire. But you heard Elizabeth. Terabytes of data, all this to go through, a production schedule. This really going to happen in May, this trial?
Probably not, but Diddy's lawyers may want to jam up the government if they think there's any chance they're not ready in terms of presenting the electronic evidence or getting their witnesses lined up. It may be part and parcel of the defense's strategy to push this case to trial as quickly as possible. Obviously, we know Combs is in custody, so...
Oh, sorry about that. King Life with the $5 super chat from earlier says the only way out for Diddy is to fake his death and say in his will, bury him at sea and use that boat to go to Bali. No, I totally agree. Dude, Diddy is not getting out of this. Like, it is over.
There's really no point for him to wait. We know that the defense case is going to be limited. When Judge Subramanian asked for a time estimate today, the prosecution gave 3 weeks. The defense only gave 1 week, which means that they're going to base this case mostly on cross-examination. So what they probably want to do...
Luke Perry says that video by Dr. Dre and Eminem, Guilty Conscience, probably about Diddy. It might actually be.
Push this case as quickly as possible, because we know under the Speedy Trial Act, unless they waive time or time is excluded, the government technically has to get this to trial within 70 days.
So let me just follow up on that. If he's hit with a superseding indictment, right, and we don't know what those charges could be, we don't know if there could be multiple defendants, we don't know if they're respect to potentially minors, no, am I crazy to think that there's no way this trial is then going to happen in May?
Dude, no, you're not.
It's unlikely, especially if there's a superseding indictment involving minors, because.
Oh, and by the way, shout out to Colonels. Shout out to King Colonels on the Rumble side for a $5 Cash App. He says, "You're the man." Appreciate that very, very much. Again, shout out to CDL. Thanks for taking a break from clapping the buns. Very good. Good stuff, man. Appreciate you guys. Again, $sign Donovan Sharpe if you want to show support.
Minors present a completely different set of circumstances.
Yes, they do.
Because we know through his lawyers, Combs is arguing that the sexual activity happened, but it was consensual. Of course, for sex trafficking, you need one of those three elements: force, fraud, or coercion.
There you go.
Obviously, minors cannot consent to any sexual activity.
No, they
so
cannot.
That would be a very different defense entirely.
Yes, it
Defense
will.
would have to be that the activity it didn't happen at all, and the individuals are lying. So I think that's going to be the potential game changer if we do get the minors wrapped up into a superseding indictment. And we know, at least if you believe the civil attorneys, there are 25 minor victims, one of which is as young as 9.
And those suits haven't been filed yet, but that's what Tony Busby, this Texas attorney, has indicated that we should expect to see in these lawsuits. Elizabeth, I want to go to you. So as our other Elizabeth said, there was nothing about bail. And that's not surprising because that issue of bail has now been appealed to a different court, to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals.
Dr. B84 says 8 terabytes. That's a porn movie studio. We're doing real talk, fam. Ice Dragon Kid says a lot of people in the industry about to get clapped. Yes, they are.
I was going over the paperwork from Sean Combs' attorneys. We have 2 questions about that. Number 1, from Simply Sarah on YouTube, his lawyer did file bail paperwork. Yes.
Okay, of course he did.
This is from Simply Sarah. I'll say Simply Sarah had 2 bail questions. Second one is, was this his last chance for bail? Meaning the
good question
that he just filed.
Yeah, so they filed paperwork basically appealing the decision of the 2 prior judges denying him bail to the Second Circuit. And, technically, if they're denied, they do have another higher court, the U.S. Supreme Court, to go to, but I think that's very unlikely. I think this would be the final stop, them appealing to the Second Circuit.
What do you think of his arguments? And let me just lay out what some of these arguments are. So first they say, we have presented a very attractive bail package. We have put $50 million secured by 2 properties.
It's bullshit.
24/7 security monitoring.
I would not let him out.
Phone, no access to internet, visitor logs, whatever other conditions you want to put. And they also said in their paperwork, Sean Combs knew he was under investigation since January. His attorneys immediately reached out to the Southern District of New York, even before there were raids, before there was...
January! Why? Dude, as soon as he knew he was under investigation, bro, you take a magnetic, you wipe everything. What in the world?
Charges. Was trying to be as cooperative as possible. He surrendered his passport to his attorneys.
Ooh, Boss Method with the $2 super chat says the problem with Diddy is he has outlived his usefulness. He may very well have. He may look at this point. He may have not only that. He may have outlived a possible assassination attempt because I think there are a lot of people who think that they're going to rub him out, man.
His family members surrendered their passports. He tried to sell his plane. He came to New York to surrender himself for the charges. And he says that all these allegations that he was reaching out to victims and witnesses, either A, it can't be corroborated, prosecution hasn't presented enough evidence, or B, it was innocuous conversations. It wasn't something sinister, as the prosecution alleges. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a fair argument to make. I understand why they stated that. The former judge that was presiding over this case had said when he denied him the application for bail was there's no guarantee that he won't try to obstruct justice in some way, whether that's, removing or tampering with physical evidence, intimidating witnesses possibly, and there could be a strong likelihood of that. What was in the indictment and what a lot of the complaints are based on is a pattern of controlling behavior that he displayed. So you don't know if that behavior could spill over to trying to prevent witnesses from coming forward, speaking. And I also think this is a case that's going to rely heavily on physical evidence. The video of Cassandra Ventura being one. It's alleged that he filmed a lot of these activities that are at issue now. So there's always that risk. And if I was the prosecutor, I would be worried about that.
Nima, that's really, really great points. Nima, I want to go back to you. We have a question from Tiffany T on YouTube. And by the way, if you have any questions, we're going to be taking questions probably for the next 10, 15 minutes. So submit them now. The question is, if high-profile people have settled their cases financially and obviously quietly, does that mean they also cooperated in some way with the prosecution? It's a great question because
that is a good question because a lot of people think that settling indicates guilt.
We're talking about Tony Busby, this Texas attorney, indicated that he was going to name names, and I believe he told TMZ that some high-profile people have already reached out and tried to settle these claims. So this idea that if they settled their claims already,
are they being cooperative?
Do you
Good
think
question.
That they're cooperating with the government?
Well, they're two separate cases, right? And Tiffany has a great question. There's the civil claims and the criminal. Now, theoretically speaking, someone who is under subpoena in the criminal case, they have to testify even if they've settled their civil claim. I mean, that being said, we know that Diddy has a lot of money, reportedly up to $1 billion, but certainly well over $100 million, and he has a lot of money to pay off these civil claimants. So if I'm the prosecution in this case, I worry that some of these victims may go sideways. They may be less than cooperative if they've been paid off in one of these civil lawsuits.
And there we go. If the defense was smart, when they cross-examine Cassie in terms of what she knows, yeah, this would. I mean, at that point, you're like, okay, is her testimony tainted or not?
So it's a good question, and let me just throw this out back to you, Nima. You heard also this idea of the defense alleging that the government has engaged in misconduct. They said it was the DHS agents who leaked the 2016 video of Sean Combs purportedly beating Cassandra Ventura. This is a way to taint the jury, that they have been speaking to the media about what they found in the raids, what justice would look like. Those were interesting arguments that were echoed today. What do you take away from it?
Well, defense attorneys say all sorts of things, and as a former prosecutor,
yes,
I'm doing criminal defense work right now. I don't think that's entirely accurate for a couple of reasons. First of all, that is clear video of Combs beating Cassie Ventura.
Thank you. It's time to start speaking about this video plainly. There is no reportedly, there is no allegedly, and I know the reason he's using these words is because he is an attorney. But, dude, Puffy beat her fucking ass. We all saw it on video.
In a hotel in Los Angeles where I live. He paid $50,000 to get a copy of that video. And I know, because I do a lot of CNN, who actually was the first to get the video, that video likely came from folks at the hotel who retained a copy. To the extent that the defense is making this argument, it may be good for the court of public opinion. I understand why they want a gag order to preserve whatever reputation Combs has left, but they shouldn't be upset at the evidence because witnesses can lie, Diddy can lie, even victims can lie, but that video doesn't lie, and we've all seen it. So
it doesn't.
Let's not forget, Combs denied all the allegations from the time Cassie filed this lawsuit in November of 2023, even after the raids in March, until May, when that video became public. He came out and he gave that I don't think a very sincere apology, but an apology nonetheless. And I think that's how powerful the video is. I don't think the defense is making a very genuine argument here.
Moist Vista says, I can believe it, though. The government definitely could have done that. Done what? Done what? Be a little more specific.
And his mom released a statement.
Oh, my God. Mr. Motor Shark says, Gotham's Most Wanted, the Diddler.
This past week, seemingly acknowledging that he wasn't truthful about the allegations. That probably wasn't honest.
Probably not.
He ended up apologizing for what he did in that video. So the idea that he denied everything, he didn't do anything, him apologizing in the video is questionable. Okay, I have a question for you, Elizabeth, that was made for you. Made for you. Do you remember when we did the episode of Sidebar about NDAs?
Yes.
Okay. I encourage everybody to check it out. Okay, now, the question is from Brie Alexis on YouTube. We have all been aware that Combs had multiple NDAs. So an account to witnesses, if someone still has an active NDA, does that prohibit them from being a witness for either side in this case?
So it's a great question. So you can't technically use an NDA to prevent people from reporting criminal or illegal activity. So if the person who signed that NDA, if they witnessed something happening, something criminal, one of the things that's being alleged in the indictment, that NDA wouldn't likely hold up.
Of course
There
not.
still might be that fear on behalf of that person about coming forward, but if it were challenged in a court, it wouldn't really hold up.
Okay.
Nima, here's another
Wow.
question.
That is a very good question. So NDAs do not hold up in court, especially in criminal court. Okay, that makes sense.
This is from Bubbly Unusual. How much of this evidence do you think will be public?
Ooh.
Oh, it's all going to be public. Just to add one thing to what Elizabeth said, and
It is all going to be
Congress passed a law
public.
a couple years ago invalidating NDAs in sexual assault, sexual harassment cases. So
There you go.
They don't hold water. Those folks are going to have to testify.
There you go. Yep.
But what was the question again, Jesse?
Yeah. He just that dude just said straight up, yeah, when it comes to sexual assault, rape, coercion, all that good stuff, yeah, NDAs, they don't hold up.
I'm sorry, you were too busy providing another great answer. The question was, how much of this evidence do you think
it's
will be
public.
made public? Yeah.
It will all be public
All of it.
because we're going to have a very public trial. Unfortunately, there are no cameras allowed in federal courtrooms, and not in New York either. So, Law and Crime won't be able to broadcast it, but I'm sure they're going to have great coverage. And at the end of the day, I fully expect this case to go to trial. I don't think there's any possible plea bargain that will be offered. Certainly not anything that Combs will accept. So it's all going to come out. The victims are going to have to testify.
Moist Fresh Sauce says got tired of protecting him, or better yet, he tried the wrong one. Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll see if other celebrities or friends of Combs are wrapped into this as well, either as witnesses or co-defendants in a superseding indictment. So there's been a lot of smoke out there, a lot of rumors and innuendo, but it's all going to come to a head, whether it's in March of 2025 or sometime later next year.
I 100% agree with you. I do not see a deal likely.
No.
For multiple reasons.
Hell no.
Even if he was offered a deal, it would have to include significant prison time, and he's not going to.
He's not doing
that. Elizabeth, I have a question for you. This is from Kathy Wu on YouTube. How do you think Diddy will be treated in jail? Are there any special cells or more isolated treatment for celebrities?
Maybe.
I highly doubt it. So he's currently detained in a facility in Brooklyn. It doesn't have a great reputation of how it treats its inmates and just the general atmosphere, obviously. But I think he's actually more prone to potential risk because he's such a high-profile individual. I think sometimes we've seen instances where other inmates, we saw that happen in R. Kelly, actually, when they specifically target someone they view as high-profile or perhaps wealthy. So I can't imagine there are great conditions that he's in right now.
Back over to you.
And he deserves it.
Doing a lightning round with some of these final questions that we're getting on YouTube. To Janae Taylor, is his mother being investigated as well as his sons?
Well, we know that there are some allegations against his sons. Little Rod in his civil complaint made them. Now, as far as whether family members are under investigation, it's really impossible to know. I mean, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams did talk about the investigation.
I do remember that.
Ongoing. You heard Law and Crimes Elizabeth talk about a potential superseding indictment today, but until they go to a grand jury and that...
Yeah, Yugi456 says he can just pay for protection. Now, that I agree with. I can agree with that. He's gonna have to grease somebody's palms in jail.
Indictment is unsealed.
Armando Moreno says Niners lose tonight. I'm calling it. Ooh.
We won't know who in Diddy's inner circle. It could be someone like Christina Horam, his right-hand woman or chief of staff. Again, it's all speculation as to who was involved and whether they might get wrapped up in this case.
That's a great point. I'm going to ask you the last question, Elizabeth, of our live stream here. And this is from Rob from Canada, so we decided to go international for this last question. How do they find any impartial jury members?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it's going to be difficult. One is that in this age of social media and people following on all sorts of different social media platforms, they see a lot. When that video came out of Cassie Ventura.
How in the world? Guys, that's impossible. It's impossible. How do you find an impartial jury? How do you find 12 people who are impartial?
That was really difficult hurdle for his team to get over. So I think it's going to be difficult. I would imagine that if I was the prosecution, I would kind of veer towards a little bit of an older generation. Maybe people that didn't necessarily follow him or his music, are not really in tune with social media, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's the route I would take, but I think it is going to be difficult.
And look, people are going to know about him. They're going to know about this case. There's probably those who've even seen that video. The question is, can you put any of those opinions to the side and base this case purely on the facts and the law. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but we are not.
Look, I don't think. Look, I mean, even if they find a 100% impartial jury, he is still going to be convicted. I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
At that point yet. It is not May 2025. Again, I still don't know if that trial is going to happen by then. But here's what I do know. I've had great guests this past, Elizabeth this past hour, Nima this past half hour. So Nima Rahmani, I want to thank you. Elizabeth Vulai, I want to thank you so much. Really appreciate you both coming on. And everyone out there, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the great questions. We will continue to follow the Sean Combs case for you on all of our different shows here on Law and Crime. And if there should be another court hearing, we'll plan to do something like this as well. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you next time. I'm Jesse Weber.
All right, very good. All right. So that was a... All right. So... that dude, interesting, fascinating stuff. Okay, there we are. All right, so what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now is we are going to. I'm going to switch it over. I'm going to switch it over to Rumble, my Rumble audience, because we are going to. You heard that sound, right? You heard that sound, right? We are about to start. Our, let me put up the right one. We are about to start our Love is Blind Season 7 breakdown. This is Love is Blind Season 7, Episode 5. So I'm going to now say goodbye to my YouTube audience. Thank you guys very much for all of your super chats. Thank you to King Kernels and CDL for the cash apps. Rumble.com/Donovan Sharpe is where to go. And I'm going to tell you what, this is getting real good. It's getting real fucking good, man. It's getting real good. All right, guys. Let me just make sure that everything is on the up and up here. Let me go ahead and...